All right. I'm live. I'm here. It is Memorial Day. Yeah, I guess. Today's Monday. Don't expect me to be back again after this. I mean, just kidding. Just kidding. But like, it's gonna be rare. I'm only here because it's a holiday and I got the day off. So yeah, let's go. We are here. We're gonna talk about Dave Smith. Because I don't like the very bad reframing that he does with Douglas Murphy. This is an old thing that I want to get back into. Got some new buttons.
Where's Neri? Dang, just as I had to get winky face. Bonus episode.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I need to call out the Dave Smith guy a little bit because it's the way he starts. All right, so this was posted 13 days ago, right? And he was on Tucker Carlson. I mean, I've nothing against both of them, but this is something that was posted April 10th, 2025. This is an old thing, so I'm rehashing some old stuff, but I really want to talk about it because it's grinding my gears. Because like the way so let's just listen to this. Listen to how he starts this off, how he frames the whole debate that he had with Douglas Murphy, which is this dude here. Also, I have a little mini screen up here with the main game that I play now because I like to play other games, and I don't want my other games to get accounts to get bad.
Botrix has correctly joined the channel.
Cool, that's great. Thank you, Botrix. I think I'm gonna delete that thing one day because I had it for a reason, and I don't know why, but it just sometimes it spawns in and makes a sound, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. I should probably get rid of it, but I don't know. I mean, it's not doing anything bad. But anyways, yeah, this is Douglas Murphy. Dave Smith, but just listen to what he says, and I'm just gonna listen to how he frames everything first, and then we'll get into something more substantive. Because I want to know if maybe I'm just biased against Douglas. I mean against Dave Smith, but let's see. You guys be the judge of that.
I'm really glad to see you. I know you've been here before, but it's nice to have you back.
I am an expert in all things Tucker Carlson.
I don't like how things are. I'm neutral on Tucker Carlson. So yeah, I'm just gonna get that bias out of the way.
So I know you've been asked this a million times, but I'm coming to this late. How do you assess the debate that you had with Douglas Murray? Now, it's been a month. How long's it been?
Something like that.
Something like a month, right?
Yep.
So
it's been a while.
Looking back, what was that?
Oh yeah, we're gonna make sure.
Where's Neri? Has he expanded?
It's an interesting question.
Has he expanded fatter? Actually, maybe, probably. We've never really seen Tucker in this type of angle before. Usually we see him like straight on, so we never really see like if he actually had weight or anything. It's just the way that they do it in Fox News or professional places. I guess they always pamper them up and then throw them on camera, and then you never really actually see the real person. So maybe he's been getting fatter.
It's been a while since I saw him.
Yeah. I mean, same.
And I mean, I think...
also, we're not going to watch this whole thing. I just wanted to get... They talk about it in the first 12 minutes. So, his debate with Douglas Murphy, I really just want to... Oh, damn. He really talks about it. Douglas Murphy attacks again. Damn. Okay, so I guess they talk about it all the way up until... here. 30 minutes, okay.
I think essentially it was what everyone saw. It's like my first impression of it. My impression during the first half hour of the debate, I was like, well, Douglas just embarrassed himself in front of the world, and
you felt that in real time.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was, look, he was ridiculous.
Personally, I don't think Douglas Murphy actually embarrassed himself. If anything, he came off as very maybe in the beginning, the way that he started out. Let's see. I'm gonna duplicate this. Boom. Duplication, because I want to keep this timestamp on the other one. But Let's see.
These things are always like Pierce Morgan, which is fine. You know, where everyone's screaming over each other, and it's five.
Because he says in the first beginning he embarrasses himself. Let's see what he means by that.
There's never just rational conversations where you discuss things, and I respect both of you. I think both of you too. So
that's great.
That word
in different ways.
Yes.
Do you think you've had enough people on who are supportive of either war?
I don't know that word enough, if that's a good word.
Let's say enough people who are on the side of Israel instead of wild critics.
Well, I've had a few. I mean, I believe God's side is on the side.
Oh, okay. So basically, he asks Joe Rogan
on these things. So
what should we do if? Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. Essentially, yeah. That's that's Murphy's point, because like. I mean, he not what he's saying right now, but like the overall point that he makes throughout the entire 3 hour thing that is true. But like right now specifically, he's kind of basically saying like you have on a lot of people that a lot of people end up like listening to, but they also like Douglas is just bringing up something that's problematic, not something that's necessarily like a real bad problem, but it only becomes a real bad problem because even though everyone like Joe knows that like they're not really that experts, but like he likes talking to people, Joe has a massive platform, so like. And there's a lot of dumb people out there that are going to listen to people that aren't experts say a lot of stuff and then believe it. And since Joe Rogan has this massive platform, he has a lot of reach, which means a lot of people are going to listen to a guy or take away from a guy that doesn't really know what he's talking about, but still listen to him and take the person's word that doesn't say that he's an expert, but like a lot of dumb people are going to like resonate with them and then just take it as is. Like, it's even if the guy said that, oh, in my opinion, it's the massive effect. It's only problematic because of the scope of Joe Rogan's podcast and how much reach he has. That is the only thing that's problematic here. Like the talking about what you want to talk about, there's no issue with that.
True that.
Yeah. There's no issue with the substance of what they're talking about. Like it seems Joe Rogan seems to be being really fair on like what he's saying, but Douglas just has an issue with the scale of all of it. Like it seems kind of problematic that you're only amplifying these types of views, but he's not saying that you shouldn't do it. It's just that, but people, when Douglas says that, it comes off as Douglas being like, oh, you shouldn't do this, therefore you shouldn't do this. But Dave is the one that's jumping to that conclusion. Dave is simply saying it's problematic because of Joe Rogan's size.
There's a lot of shit out there, and then
yeah, authority does matter, and people will say appeal to authority as like a bad thing. But like when you want to be factual about stuff, you should appeal to the people that actually know the stuff. Like it may be like I guess people just don't understand why it's bad to appeal to authority, because the act of itself, like appealing to any authority, is not necessarily a bad thing. It's the fact that you're appealing. It's when you're doing it in a very a fallacious way. I don't know how to articulate that right now, because like there is ways to appeal to authority in a bad way, but there's also ways to appeal to authority in a very positive way. Like you appeal to your doctor, to the authority of your doctor when the doctor's diagnosing you with a disease or something. Like you have no idea. The doctor just says this, and you're like, okay, I guess I have this. Like you don't know how or why the doctor may try to explain it. You can try and like understand it, but you're still appealing to the authority of the doctor when he says that. But so like that's why I'm saying like appealing to authority is not necessarily like a bad thing. But there's ways to do it where it's a bad thing. Like, and he says that there's this appeal to authority thing. Douglas Murphy didn't really say. I guess when he says the experts, that's probably what Dave Smith has a problem with. Because like, what experts is he specifically talking about? I don't think Murphy ever says anything specifically.
dangerous kind.
I'll try to get back before the end. Otherwise, see ya when I see ya. Smiley face.
All right. Well, I'm not trying to watch this whole thing. I just like this. Okay, so let's go back to this is what he said. Like in the beginning, Douglas Murphy just made a fool of himself. That's essentially his argument.
Chastising everyone as not being as good as you, that the expert class ought to be the ones consulted, that you, I mean, you could argue what exactly he was saying, but...
Oh, okay, so you know that what you're saying is not exactly what Murphy was actually saying, and you're just framing it in a negative light just to make him look worse because he made you look like an idiot, kind of. Kind of. And I'm going to express that, I think, somewhere around here. But... I'm going to let him speak a little bit more.
He was clearly saying that you guys on podcasts are simply not qualified to talk about these subjects. Now, you're saying this on the Joe Rogan Experience. Of all places to go and deliver this message, this is the place guaranteed to turn the entire audience against you. And of course, I just think that...
Yeah, Murphy wasn't there trying to grow an audience for himself. He just wanted to talk to specifically Joe Rogan and why he thinks it's problematic for him to bring on a lot of people that aren't really super knowledgeable about the situation on the ground, but still have a massive reach. I already said this in the beginning.
I think it's a ridiculous...
It's just problematic. It's not that they can't say it. It's just that it's problematic because of Joe Rogan's massive reach. I guess Murphy would say that Joe Rogan is being irresponsible for having such a massive platform, but also kind of just going very, not really bringing on people that actually know what they're like. I think he would say that Joe Rogan is being irresponsible because of Joe Rogan's massive like reach and audience. But like, I think Murphy wouldn't care what Joe Rogan did if Joe Rogan didn't have such a massive audience. I think that's a true statement.
On argument that never would have
or
made
he wouldn't say it's as problematic. Because, well, yeah.
Sense. But coming off of the COVID years, the idea that you're going to convince people that you ought to kind of, they ought to trust your opinions. They ought to, that your class ought to be trusted was a ridiculous,
But he's not even in that class. I mean,
No,
he's
he's
not.
not.
I know.
Well, one, Murphy did actually go to Israel. So, yes, he obviously has more experience than you. Secondly, wait, what did he just say?
On argument that never would have made sense. But coming off of the COVID years, the idea that you're going to convince people that you ought to kind of, they ought to trust your opinions. They ought to, that your class ought to be trusted.
Well, yes. Yeah. Well, no, he's not necessarily saying that. He's saying that you, Murphy, Douglas, Dave, he's saying that people should trust Dave less because he's less knowledgeable about that specific thing. That's what Murphy was saying. But Dave is basically assuming that the opposite is true because I guess let me find it.
Simultaneously distrust all powerful people. It's just an interesting rhetorical...
Well, no, I mean, I think that obviously, like, I don't blindly trust anyone in the political class or the media class for that matter either. But when they admit things that are like very against their interest to admit and kind of give away the whole game that now they're pretending doesn't
Are you sure,
matter.
are you sure whether it's the
acknowledging.
CIA or Mossad that it isn't just if they say something that you happen to want to be the case?
But it's all of them have talked about it.
Destiny was correct. Destiny was correct. All the pro-Palestinian people, they just live in quotes. Oh, he said this one thing this way, therefore that's 100% fact, truth, and that's it. Like this is why Israel wanted October 7th to happen because they funded Hamas for this to happen. Like it's just stupid. It's so stupid. Like they live in quotes.
The situation. Let's get on to it. The situation there on the war of the last.
All right, so David just made his the other dude. David, this guy, he just made his claim, and now Murphy is saying, no, you're right. There's a kernel of truth of that actually happening, but this is what actually is going. This is what is Murphy's about to explain why Dave is wrong, because apparently in this interview with Tucker Carlson, Dave Smith accuses Murphy of saying, for not actually responding to Dave Smith's stuff and just asserting stuff without actually telling Dave why Dave is wrong, which I think this is what he's literally about to do to Dave. And I don't like the framing of that, what Dave Smith did to Murphy.
18 months now, more than 18 months in the Middle East. is a result not of that, but of Hamas deciding to start another war with Israel and trying to annihilate their neighbor.
But you don't think if they were being propped up by Israel, that has nothing to do
They
with
were
the
not
group?
being propped up by Israel. The reason why Hamas were in power, as you know, much against the interests of the Israelis, was that they were voted into power after the Israelis withdrew from Gaza in 2005. Condoleezza Rice and other American states folk insisted that the Palestinians should have elections straight after the Israeli withdrawal. They had elections, perhaps unwisely, and Hamas won, and then didn't have another election again, and ruled Gaza for 18 years until they finally got the great fruit of their labors on the 7th of October 2023, and went around southern Israel massacring everyone they could, including young people at a dance party, and then caused in turn...
No, but in Dave Smith's world, no, Israel funded Hamas, and after those 18 years of funding Hamas, Israel, Netanyahu wanted this October 7th to happen. Like, it's so, like, which one's more plausible? Like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. The worldview of, like, yeah, Israel wanted Hamas to come into power so they could shoot rockets over and over again every single year into Israel, and then having to defend themselves by building the Iron Dome. Like that's what Israel wanted. So when Hamas finally strikes, Israel can just demolish Gaza. That was the 18-year-long plan. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Like, yeah, Israel wanted to have their citizens get deleted. Like, for what? So they can have an excuse to bomb Gaza? Is that seriously it? Like, Israel is also losing a lot of people during that war, right? Like, this is what Israel wanted, to look really terrible in the state of the world, like everyone being against Israel, and Israel's like there's actually less support for Israel as the war goes on. Yeah, that's exactly what Israel wanted, to have less support and have a 2-year-long war with Hamas, because they funded them though. I'm like, this is so stupid.
The destruction of the place that they were meant to be governing. It's basically Palestinians should have elections.
I just wanted to go back. Like, this is like Murphy obviously makes a much more sense than what Dave is actually saying.
Straight after the Israeli withdrawal, they had elections, perhaps unwisely, and Hamas won, and then didn't have another election again, and ruled Gaza for 18 years until they finally got the great fruit of their labors on the 7th of October 2023.
Like, everyone keeps forgetting that the people of God, the Gazan people, literally voted Hamas in. And then when they didn't want Hamas, when all the people, when some of the Gazan people didn't want Hamas to, like, become a dictator, Hamas just deleted them. So who's worse here? The evil dictator that's ruling Gaza, or Israel? And if people actually have, like, are hesitating to answer that question, then I'm like, okay, there's no hope for you. You're too Israel bad. Literally, the government for 18 years was not even helping the people of Gaza. They were just using it to, like, it was just pure on corruption. But it's all Israel's fault, though. We don't care about the actual government that's running the entire place. It's Israel's fault. Israel's bad. Look at the war that apparently Israel started because they were the one that attacked first, right? Like, this is so stupid.
Throughout Gaza.
Well, I mean, let's go back to this.
Was it ridiculous?
But he's not even in that class. I mean,
No,
he's
he's
not.
not.
I know Douglas, and I think that I've always gotten along with him, and I think that he's clever. But he's clever in a boarding school way. He went to boarding school,
Right.
As I did, and you instantly recognize it in the way that he debates, which is by dropping references that suggest a deep erudition that doesn't actually exist. I think he's clever. He's got a kind of bullshitty boarding school vibe to him, again,
Yes.
that I recognize, that I have sometimes.
Right.
So I'm not trying to be holier than thou, but, like, the idea that he's an expert is absurd. He's a journalist like the rest of us who's been taken on.
I mean, I don't think there was a one time. Maybe he insinuated that he isn't. And I mean, I would arguably say that Douglas Murphy is an expert, because he literally went on the ground in Israel himself, interviewing people there on both sides of the. Actually, I don't know if I was able to go in, because it was a legit war. So I don't know if he would be able to go in. Maybe he was able to, but, like, he was there in Israel talking to people on the ground in the conflict. If that doesn't make him an expert, he's obviously way more knowledgeable than Dave Smith, that's literally his whole point. His whole point is not that he's the expert and you should listen to him. Like, maybe it comes off that way because he's just calling Dave Smith less educated on the conflict, because he literally didn't go there and interviewed anyone. Dave just read a bunch of books online, and therefore Dave is just I guess he's just knowledgeable, which that's good. He's knowledgeable, but obviously he's less knowledgeable than Douglas Murphy. Like, I'm obviously going to listen to Douglas Murphy more than Dave Smith, because of like Murphy was literally on the ground. Like, come on now. Where's the interviews that Murphy made, that Dave made? Like, where are those? Maybe the comedian that he likes to run behind actually did some interviews with people on the ground. Maybe he did, but I'm not aware of that.
PR tours in various countries by their governments trying to win his support. Got it. I've done that too. But he's hardly an expert on anything.
Well,
So,
right.
like, what?
Well, also, it doesn't.
I mean, he's more than an expert than Dave Smith. That's for sure.
Look, all of this. So the analogy that I've used about it is that, like, if you had two UFC fighters that are going to fight, so they've signed the contract, they've done their training camps, they show up to Madison Square Garden, they both get in the octagon, and like one of them puts up his hands, and then the other one puts his hands down and goes, I'm such a better fighter than you. And this is ridiculous that me and you are even fighting. It's like, okay, but we are. We're here.
This analogy doesn't make. I mean, it makes sense to stupid people, but I mean, cool. You made an analogy that is not even like connected to what was actually going on, because Dave didn't. All right, whatever. I mean, whatever.
All right, we both accepted. We're both here. So if you are such a better fighter, if you have trained so much more, if you have all these advantages against me, well, then you can't just, you have to demonstrate that. Take on the argument. You should be able to then destroy me. And so he weirdly opened with this thing where he was going to turn everybody
He
off.
didn't even come there to do that. Like, this is the weird. It's like he wasn't even paying attention. He wasn't even following the conversation properly. I say properly because he was following the conversation, but not properly. He keeps assuming these weird things, like Murphy's there to fight him on Israel-Palestine. Oh, when literally Murphy's main point is that it's his main contention was with Joe Rogan and the type of people he brings on. That's what Murphy's real big point is. Like, you're just another one of those guys that are ill-informed guys that Joe Rogan put on. Like, that's it. Like, but you're thinking, I mean, obviously Dave Smith is going to think that everything revolves around Dave Smith because Dave Smith is Dave Smith. So it makes sense. I understand why he's focusing more on the part of like where he's involved and not over the part of where Douglas Murphy was like, his main point was because of Joe Rogan. But I mean, I digress. Whatever.
Turn everyone against it because the style is bullshit. Even if you're, and I've had lots of people who are pro-Israel reach out to me since then and be like, listen, I disagree with you on the issue, but that was ridiculous the way he attempted to argue. Because weirdly, number one, you're turning everyone against you.
I don't think it's ridiculous. I think it did come off a little bit pushy in the beginning, but I mean, I guess grow a spine or whatever.
And number two, you're just setting the bar so much higher for yourself. Because now once we start actually getting into the debate, you've already explained that you should be dominating me on every facet of this, and yet you're not.
No, he wasn't doing like, yeah, like the weird, like, he wasn't properly understanding what Murphy was saying. Like, Murphy is not there to destroy you. You're just another one of those. I mean, you're literally just another person that Joe Rogan put on his podcast that's against Israel. That's it. That's all that's going through Murphy's brain right at that point of time. Like, chill. Like, you're not that important. Come on now.
And yet, actually, when it comes down to it, you have no answer for the points that I'm making. And that was the theme of
And no
of the entire
knowledge either.
Yes, that's right. But there were 2 points in the debate that actually stuck.
Wait, so what we were just listening to was zero response to what he was saying? The reason why the blockade started happening was because Hamas came into power, and then Hamas started like shooting rockets into Israel, and Israel's like, yeah, we're not gonna like let you have just rockets going into the Gaza Strip just so you can shoot it at us. Therefore, there's a blockade, and yeah, that's it. A lot of stuff was able to come through. Everyone says, oh, we got a blockade. Oh, like, yes, it was a blockade because Hamas apparently just doesn't understand how to like not shoot rockets into Israel. Like, it's and then Hamas started becoming clever and using very crude ways of making rockets with, I forget, like, you need sugar and like nitric acid, I think. Like, those two chemicals, and you can easily get nitric acid from fertilizer, which is why fertilizer was kind of being looked at when being sent in, and then pure sugar. So like, there's really no way to like not have sugar go in because people need like sustenance. But like, they were very strict on certain types of food products that could go in because of the sugar content. But then everyone's like, oh, you're saying that they can't have cookies? Oh. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Like the retarded take would be like, oh, they're blocking them from having cookies, which is technically true, but it's because of the high sugar thing inside them. And then retards are going to be like, oh, so you can make rockets out of cookies? Oh, like it sounds absurd, but like if you have any like knowledge of how chemistry works, then you can obviously see that. But like if you don't even know what chemistry is, then I understand why you're just too dumb to understand like why that could even be something that could be asked or like even blockaded reasonably.
GDP of Gaza. So just for reference,
Because they continuously kept on building more rockets. So yes, you do realize the last rocket fire from the Gaza Strip into Israel was like what, a few months before October 7th. Like there hasn't been a rocket fire. Well, minus Iran. Like ignore Iran for a second there. But yeah, that's like yes. If you do a blockade and the blockade isn't working, you up the blockade so that you restrict more and more stuff so they can stop making these rockets and shooting things into Israel. Like it's kind of wild to me that Israel, the people that live in Israel that's been born and like bred there, like it's just a normal occurrence where you'll just randomly hear an alarm because a rocket was shot into like from the Gaza Strip into Israel, and you don't have no idea if it's gonna like destroy your home or your school or anything. Like that's just a normal occurrence. Like every 6 months they basically have to do that. Like we do fire drills like here in our schools, but like in Israel, they do rocket drills that actually do happen occasionally, at least twice a year, and that's just normal to them. Like that's just everyday life to them. Like that's just wild to me. That you're denying anyone agency. It's just that you're just saying Israel's bad and not talking about anything to do with Hamas. Like that's all you're let me see. Is that actually what he's going to say? Wait, let's go back to the other video for a second. Let's go back to the other video and let it play out just a little bit more. Maybe there might be some more stuff because we just got a bunch of new context from what Murphy just said. So let's just see. Did he actually frame it properly for what actually Murphy was talking about?
Out to me the most. And it wasn't the have you been, which is, was the funniest thing that everyone's making, that, Douglas will be mocked for eternity for, but, he made his own bed. But the 2 points to me that really stuck out in the debate, because this is the way my mind works, is that I'm like, oh, if you give me something, give me something to challenge me on. That will actually keep me up at night, by the way. If you were to be like, no, Dave, you got this completely wrong, and you need to read these 3 books to understand why you're missing all this information.
Can I interrupt and say, knowing you pretty well, I think, I mean this, I believe, I would take a lie detector test and pass, I believe that if you read those books and found that you were wrong, that you would admit it.
Oh yeah, and I've done this lots of times before. I have views from a decade ago that are quite embarrassing in hindsight. I was an atheist at one point. I was pro-life. I was pro-choice at one point. I was for open borders.
Oh,
at one point.
I've had all of those views.
I've had some really bad views over the years, and I've changed my mind.
Do you think Douglas would admit if he was wrong?
Well, of course not. I mean, that's obvious, right?
No, but that's kind of the aspect.
Well, look,
Yeah, but that's obvious, right? Slurping on them, like it's so okay.
If you can get Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Ukraine, and COVID.
I mean, this guy's just mad because Murphy just basically called him an idiot and uneducated on the topic, and now he's butthurt because he actually is uneducated on the topic, and we're just gonna keep name calling him, and because like there hasn't been a single argument that this guy has actually made against David Murphy, except, oh, he just does appeal to authority. Therefore, he's doing a contradiction. He's doing a fallacy, guys.
A bit wrong. And then with certainty, say you're right about the next one. And then also arguing that the other person should have some humility. I mean, come on. Like, what is this?
It's so good.
It's just too, you couldn't write, if I just scripted this for you and wrote it on a script, you'd be like, take it down. And this is too ridiculous. No one would believe this. But regardless of that, so there were 2 moments that actually really stood out to me in the debate. So number 1 was in the Ukraine portion. Number 2 was in the Israel portion. So in the Ukraine portion, at one point, I said to him, we were talking about the, what led up to the war. And so he said something like, he goes, the real question is why all these countries wanted to join NATO. I mean, we didn't incorporate them in NATO through force. And I was like, well, yes, obviously, that's the argument, isn't that we forced, the governments willingly wanted to join NATO.
Yes.
I was like, it's pretty obvious why. You'd want to have your defense subsidized and want to have the most powerful government in the history of the world guaranteeing your defense. Sure. And also because they're concerned about the former Soviet Union, which is still Russia.
Wait, what did he say?
Incorporate them in NATO through force. And I was like, well, yes, obviously, that's the...
All right. So the NATO part. Okay. All right. Let's see. Can I find the NATO part? NATO. That's what he said about what actually happened. Let's listen to Dave Smith's retelling of that story.
So there were the two moments that actually really stood out to me in the debate. Were okay. So number one was in the Ukraine portion. Number two was in the Israel portion. So in the Ukraine portion, at one point, I said to him, we were talking about the what led up to the war. And so he said something like, he goes, the real question is why all these countries wanted to join NATO. I mean, we didn't incorporate them in NATO through force. And I was like, well, yes, obviously, that's the argument, isn't that we forced, the governments willingly wanted to join NATO.
Yes.
I was like, it's pretty obvious why. You'd want to be have your defense subsidized and want to have the most powerful government in the history of the world guaranteeing your defense. Sure. And also because they're concerned about the former Soviet Union.
So all you're saying is that Murphy was correct when he said that. Okay. All right. So what's your point?
Which is still Russia. And okay. But I was like, but that wasn't the argument. The argument is, why would we do this? And so I was like, let me just give you 2 bullet points, right? 2 quick arguments. And the 2 quick points that...
Well, I mean, I guess Dave Murphy's response was that because everyone else was doing this, that's probably a reason why we would do it too. Like, there's no such thing as having I guess there's such thing called having too much power. I guess you could argue that, but having too much power isn't like having too much power in a world sense. The more power you can't have too much power in the world sense, in a worldly sense. Maybe not an individual sense, yes, it could be bad. It can be bad, but in a collective sense, having too much power isn't necessarily like a thing that exists. Like if one country ended up ruling the entire world, well, the person that's ruling the entire world will never concede that that's a problem. Like, that's just not what's going to happen. Like, anything that could be conceded as a problem, I mean, the guy's in power, so, like, he's just going to delete anyone else that says to the contrary, I guess. So that's what I mean by when I say that statement from before, but whatever.
That I made were, number one, the Niet means Niet memo, which, of course, as you know well, you've talked about this a lot. You talked about this back on your Fox News show, was that Bill Burns,
later director of the CIA, yes.
The CIA director through Joe Biden's 4 years, yes, who was the CIA director through this entire war up until Trump took back over.
But then the ambassador to Russia.
In 2008, he was the ambassador to Russia. He wrote a private cable to Condoleezza Rice. This was not for the public. This was a private cable that later the heroic Julian Assange released. It's the only reason we know it exists. And he lays out in there that all this talk about Ukrainian entry to NATO is going to lead to a war. And he specifically says that this is the brightest of all red lines for the Russians. And if we keep moving forward, they fear this could result in civil war, and then they might have to intervene. In his words, quote, a choice the Russians do not...
I mean, you do realize that the only reason why other states right now are joining NATO is because of the war that started first. They invaded first. And now people are like, oh, we need to join NATO now. You do realize that, right? Like, sure, you could say that, and that is true, but, like, they invaded, which just proved everyone's point that now we have to join NATO. Like, come on now.
Not want to have to make. So it's like, hey, there's a pretty compelling piece of evidence.
Yes.
And then number 2, I said, Stoltenberg, I always say this name wrong, but the head of NATO,
yes.
Stoltenberg, the head of NATO, he said that Vladimir Putin in late 2001 put in writing, sent a draft treaty to NATO and said, if you just put into writing that you will not bring Ukraine into NATO, I will not invade the country. This is the head of NATO. So I give him these 2 points, okay? I could talk a lot more about this, but I was like, let's focus on these 2. Seems to me that all the powerful people involved are admitting that this war was about Ukrainian entry into NATO. And his response was, the war was not about Ukrainian entry into NATO. It was about Vladimir Putin's desires to reconstitute the Soviet Union. And I was like, yeah, but what's the response? Like, what's the response to my point? Like, I made a point.
Wait, what? Hold up. All right, let's go back then.
People acted. I would certainly... There are...
Wait. I think it's this one.
...announced that Georgia and Ukraine...
That was basically what happened.
Point. You made nothing. You just made an assertion. So there was this one where it's like, once you actually get down to it, once you remove all this, like, you're an expert, you're not an expert, you've never been, what are you watering, you've got no actual argument here.
Because you're not an expert yourself.
Right. But even that, it's like that, again, just the way I work.
I completely disagree with that. I think I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Like, you're saying that the guy that literally went down on the ground and is literally just saying, you're not allowed to, like, I mean, we're just watching this side by side because, like, this guy he got completely humiliated in the Dave Smith, the debate, basically, in the Joe Rogan Experience that happened on April 10th, Dave Smith versus Douglas Murphy. Like, it's just and Douglas Murphy, but like he got like basically humiliated for talking about something that he says that he cares about so deeply, but didn't bother to like interview anyone on the ground or even understand what a like he has all these terrible things that he sees on the internet about what's going on in the war, but like he didn't bother to go down and actually like see for himself this it's kind of wild to me, because like Dave will say something that's wrong, and then Murphy, that actually has been on the ground, will say, well, you're wrong, this is what actually happened, and then Dave is like, well, you're not even responding to anything that I said. But Murphy literally said that you're wrong about that. That's a misconception. There's nothing to respond to when what you're saying is fake. But Dave is like upset that Murphy isn't like engaging with the wrong stuff that Dave was saying, which that's basically what I think is happening. So, which is stupid, honestly.
Their Palestinians could have.
So yeah, we're done. We're done with this. I'm done with this. We're gonna watch the Let's see. I think we're just gonna skip to the Tim Pool stuff. Oh yeah, Tim Pool and Bill Maher. Yeah. Tim Pool, Bill Maher. Tim Pool, not Temple. Freaking, I hate the audio thing.
The way the world is going, everybody could use therapy, but costs a fortune. It's time consuming because of the back and forth.
Because I like my Beanie Boy. My Beanie Boy. My Beanie Boy.
Therapy should not be this complicated. That's why today's sponsor, Rula, was formed. Rula connects you with high-quality, vetted, licensed mental health professionals that are suited for you.
I don't care.
Sketch your slipping. To save 20% off your Flint candidate intro free.
That's great.
No, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. You do? You're going to get out of the game?
So,
no.
Yeah, last October.
Scoop. So how long were you an atheist, and what did we do wrong not to keep you?
I went to Catholic school, and
Oh, well.
Bill Maher.
Hey, man.
It is an honor and a privilege.
Ah, sweet. Thank you for saying that. I know you flew in
Yeah.
your own dime. I can't tell you what a compliment that is, and
Oh,
I appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you having me.
And,
I'm excited.
They told me, not that they ever tell me much, and I like it that way, but that you don't drink. So
No, but I'll have a shot or two with you.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you how often this happens. I said it last week, I think. Like somebody was here, and it's like, the handlers are always like, well, he's recovering, and he doesn't want to be around smoke, and he doesn't drink, and don't play. And then they're like, hey, bro, why aren't you passing the joint, or can I have a drink? Or
Yeah, I'm not like I just don't really drink because it doesn't.
It's smart. It's
I
the
don't
worst
know.
thing for you.
I'm kind of health terrified.
What does that mean?
I try to every day I have a pretty intense schedule. I do a morning show, then
Yeah.
I skate. I'm filming skating with my crew,
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to make sure that every day I'm going to be at 100%. So
You're like Brian Johnson without a perfect penis.
Oh, all right.
You know who he is?
Are you referring to the guy who did steroids, or the guy who's doing the weird medical treatments to?
The guy who wants to live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know about Liver King too, right?
But who?
Liver King,
I've heard that. Who is that? What is
just
that?
super ripped guy, and his
Liver
name is also.
King.
I think his name is Brian Johnson as well.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the secret.
Doing steroids.
But what does the Liver King do? He does something with his liver to make him live forever?
Eats it.
He eats liver.
I think that's what his thing was. I didn't really follow him.
Not
but-
his own, you're saying?
No.
Oh.
Well, but I think his whole shtick was he eats like raw meat and claimed that would make you ripped and manly, but he was doing steroids. So.
Well, he was.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's. I
would've
don't know,
thought.
man.
Well, that'll make you
Not my
ripped
whoop.
and not manly because it makes your arms bigger and shrinks your balls.
So I hear.
I mean, like, I never understood that kind of a trade-off. Like, okay, I want to excel at this, I assume, so I can get chicks.
True.
But then when I get them, my dick, yeah, I got a mushroom dick,
Yeah. There's so much weird stuff now. Like I've had guys talking about like peptide things they take and HGH. And
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
like, I don't know, man. I'll get old. That's what I'll do.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I had this actual discussion with Joe Rogan on his show, and he does the exogenous creams and stuff, and I think he's pretty upfront about that, and it's legal. I mean, it's not. We're not talking about steroids. We're talking about
Testosterone cream.
Yeah, but I mean, testosterone does decrease as you get older. That's a fact, and of course that makes you, especially if you're a male, only if you're a male, I guess, with testosterone, less healthy. Just ask Joe Biden. Oh no, too soon. Sorry.
Damn.
We wish you well, Joe. But So, I said, yeah, that stuff is scary to me because anything you do that the body isn't doing naturally always has the possibility of some bad repercussions.
Yeah.
And like, if you had like cancer cells in your body, and we all have some, you know, sometimes you do something to make you healthier and it'll soups up the thing that's not healthy. And he had a good answer though. I said, I'm afraid that this will make me unhealthy. And he said something like, well, I do it because I'm afraid to be unhealthy, which is, I understand what he's saying. Without the proper amount of testosterone, your health does suffer.
Yeah.
So he's putting it back in. We don't know. That's the thing about medicine. We don't know.
I think it's also bad for your heart though, isn't it? Testosterone?
I'm sure it's bad for a lot of things. Look, if it's bad for your balls, it's got to be bad throughout them. I mean, I just go by that test, wouldn't you? I mean, it's just, I feel like sometimes the people who know the most have the least common sense.
Perhaps.
Damn.
I mean,
one thing that I've been dying to tell you, given the chance, is, I do this talk show, I do this news show 20 years ago.
Oh, I know.
Well, it's your fault. 20 years ago, every Friday, me and my friends are hanging out at, shout out to Roger and my boy Brandon, who works with me now.
Where is this?
Chicago.
Chicago. Right.
And they were stoned off their asses, passing the joint, blowing pot smoke into an iguana's face while we watched Real Time with Bill Maher.
Mm.
And I was 18 or 19 years old, and that's what we did every Friday.
That's so cool.
Watching your show.
I love it that they were blowing the pot smoke.
And the iguana loved it.
Who did?
The iguana. It loved getting stoned.
Oh, a real iguana.
Literally, there was an iguana. And then one day, I guess the iguana got out and started eating their pot. So it was like, this is not a good thing, but also kind of funny.
Animals do. I mean, I remember with my dogs, not that I would do it on purpose. But, I would not blow smoke in their face. I'm a PETA board member, for Christ's sake. But like if I was smoking and not thinking about it, and the dog was sitting next to me, I would see him like trying to like bite the air. So that told me something about unlike testosterone, I used the common sense yardstick, and it told me that
I literally have nothing to say to this.
It's not bad for you if the dog is trying to eat it out of the air.
Did you mix your tequila? I don't want to.
Yes. I think you said shot. Did you want it?
Oh, I'll just sip a little bit and then wash it.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
What is it, do you think, that is making people so mad at you?
Fake news.
Well, that's very general, Tim.
It is, but
fake news. What do you mean? I mean, I saw things. Somebody sent me. I don't know why they send me these things. Like the other day, it said. I mean, I'm not even on any of these sites. Facebook, nothing. Instagram, wouldn't know how to get on it. It was Bill Maher's old girlfriends, and it was like this, like a cavalcade. Some of which were my old girlfriends, and some of which were just completely pulled right out of their ass. So, like, fake news, my point I'm making is it covers a lot of territory.
For sure. It's there's a hyperpolarization happening among the younger generation that's substantially more pronounced than the older generation. And the younger generation is substantially more considering violence than the older generation did. So when you look at the polls, it's really interesting how the polarization expands.
I can see that.
Yeah. So, I would say like the bulk of our viewers are probably in their 30s. So we have 18-year-olds too, but they're a smaller percentage, but basically 25 to 54 who watches us.
Right.
Got a lot of people in their 30s. And what ends up happening is, and this is true for people on the left or right, doesn't matter who you are, someone's going to take something you said, it's going to be pulled out of context.
Of course.
And then it makes people go nuts. So, there's so many of these things that are absolutely wild for me. So I don't have the worst of it. There's other people in media that have it substantially worse than I do. Their Wikipedia pages are just rife with weird, fake nonsense that's made up.
I mean, I just don't feel like anybody in this country can even presume that what people think about them is anywhere near the truth. And if you do think that, you're very naive, and people are just going to want to believe. Somebody told me just the other day that, speaking of girlfriends, this one is funny. This one wasn't in that list, but they could have put it there. But they were out to dinner with a few people, and this person said that I used to date Ann Coulter.
I've heard that.
Which.
I've heard it.
Okay, well, but it's not true. And both of us would say that. Now, am I friends with her? Yes. And anyone who doesn't like that can go fuck themselves. I'll be friends with whoever I want.
Damn.
I think I proved that over and over again, including with Donald Trump. I believe in talking to people. But it's not like I've ever, to either one of them, given an inch on what my beliefs are. It's not like I'm taken in. I just think we need to talk to each other. And anyone who doesn't want to do that. But, this idea that the image that people have of you is anywhere near what you really are. Yes, that got way worse in the internet age, but I think it was almost always thus.
Absolutely. Yeah. It goes both ways too. My fans think they know me based on seeing my face for, well, to be honest, I do like 5 hours of recording a day. But those that watch, they watch several hours a day, and they think this shows them everything about me.
Right.
And to be honest, the people who watch me are much better informed as to who I am than the people who don't. But they still have this probably, rose-colored glasses view of who I am and what I represent and stuff.
So better. You say rose-colored.
Yeah, they're fans. And so,
I mean, I've seen the Adam Krigler side of things, of the Tim Pool stuff, which I mean, it's whatever, I guess.
Oh,
But sometimes fans, I mean,
like Tim is
about
not a
month ago,
saint.
during my monologue, this had never happened in over 600 tapings of real time, but during my monologue, I see a guy in the audience with his phone out picking a picture and taking it. And I stopped the monologue. I mean, I just went, I walked over, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're taking pictures here. And then, the audience laughed and I said, it's so disappointing when even your own fans are assholes, because like it takes a lot to get tickets to real time. People write in and he was a fan.
Yeah.
And it's just, but like people can be assholes even your own. You can't ever be so purist as to think, well, the good people. I mean, that's one of our big problems, I think, politically. It's like this idea that we're the good people. We know we know what's good, and anyone who doesn't agree with that, well, they're an existential threat to America, and that happens on both sides.
I agree, but it is a weird position for me to be in. I was talking to some friends before the show, and I was saying, like, I think that if you and I discussed policy solutions for the country, I'd probably be to the left of you. But
in some ways, yeah.
Probably most
You
ways.
like Bernie.
I did.
I like Bernie, but I don't want socialism in America.
You know,
more than what we have. We already have plenty.
But the issue is today, I feel like what defines someone politically is not it's not the policies they want, but it's what they believe to be true.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah, Matt Taibbi writes about this.
I'm a big fan. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And they call him far right now.
I sure don't agree with everything he says. I mean, I think he's wrong about Russiagate and a lot of other stuff. But first of all, he's just funny. He can say things that make me LOL. I cannot say that about many writers. Just the choice.
Make me LOL. Okay. All right, Bill.
Like description of something in one or two words is just very often just priceless. But what were we talking about? Why did I bring up Matt Taibbi? What did he say?
What makes someone liberal conservative?
Oh yes,
what they think is true.
he writes so well about this and about how the modus operandi of news organizations used to be informing the public, and then it became audience stroking. How can we interpret this thing that just happened in such a way that our audience will give us likes?
Yep.
I like that. I like you said it that way. I like your point of view because that's what I already think, and I hate them, and so I like.
He's right.
He's right.
Yeah.
No, and it's just.
I worked for ABC. Started ABC and Univision did a joint venture in 2014 called Fusion, and I was at Vice, and I moved over there. And then they told me that the new trend was going to be called mission-driven storytelling. And I said, what does that mean? And they said, there's no such thing as objectivity. Everyone is subjective. So we're going to tell the stories that our audience wants to hear. I had a meeting with the president, and he was talking to me about this. And I said, does that mean if there is a news story that is true and important, we would choose not to report it because it might upset our audience? And he said, yeah, I think that's fair. The company went bankrupt. They fired everybody.
Wild.
But this wasn't unique to them. They were chasing the trend. One of their marketing guys told me explicitly, we want to maximize shares because we have to maximize views. We have to maximize views because we've already sold a set amount to the advertisers. One company bought 500,000 views from us. We don't complete that contract until those views are delivered. How do we deliver them? Angering moms. Middle-aged women who are angry share more than anyone else, so we're going to write stories that do that. That's actually what he told me. So
that is
it was
true.
Social justice, it was racism.
I
That
just
is
pictured my
actually
writers
true.
all guffawing just because, I'm always I've had like
Good point, Tim.
a writer's room since 1993, Politically Incorrect.
Yeah, wow.
That show went on there. So
I was a little kid.
yeah, I'm sure. And it's, the joy of my life. One of the great joys is having a writer's room. I've said this before, but like Paul McCartney once said, I'd rather have a band than a Rolls Royce, and I'd rather have a writer's room. But a writer's room has always been me, the bachelor, and then like 10 guys who are married and are always making, like, just in the room, this is not going to be on the show, but like always just making jokes about marriage and how they don't get laid and they don't get blown. It's like it just never.
Telling you don't get married.
Well, everybody does it. I watch TMZ every night. The guys, the people in the the gallery that Harvey talks to, they're just same thing. They're just endless jokes that are made about how much marriage sucks. But if you say a bad word against it, like you're the crazy one. You're a newlywed, right?
I am, yeah. But I think
awkward.
No, but I agree. I think I'm 39 and I just had my first child, and it's amazing. And I just got married, and I do think for the millennial generation, largely,
Bro, I keep forgetting that Tim actually has a kid. He doesn't. He has one now. That's wild.
Every TV show, we didn't have these wholesome family shows. Everything was like Marriage is Scary and Bad and Mocking Marriage. So
which ones? Like,
Married with Children.
Bro, we need to get to the point where I disagree. This is getting boring to watch. I mean, for me, I'm just chilling. But like for the audience, stop agreeing.
Yeah,
I
was on it.
Oh, wow.
I was a guest star. I played a game
that's
show
cool.
host on Married with Children.
I mean,
you
it was
can
a
look
funny
it up
show.
on YouTube.
I'll take a look.
You should. It's pretty funny.
But I understand that there were those moments where they loved each other, but it very much was this slog of like, oh no, I'm married. It's bad. Oh, geez. What do you think happens when these millennials grow up and they get these red pill dating guys saying everything they grew up hearing is true, but not comedy, serious, and then they end up believing it?
Okay, but Tim, the reason why those jokes work is because that's how people do feel about marriage.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm lucky, I guess.
you're a newlywed, is what you are. You know,
We've known each other for almost 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you married your high school sweetheart?
I guess technically we
That's like something Dick Cheney does.
it is pure luck.
I actually didn't know this. I didn't know they were together that long.
I am lucky. I'm lucky. Which camera do I look at?
Just look at me.
We're both from Chicago. We both like the same music. We have very similar views. We're both lapsed Catholics, and it's like I got lucky, and I know.
Well, I'm a lapsed Catholic. We could have a throuple.
Pass.
Pass.
No, I am lucky, and it's weird how I see all these stories and people talk about marriage, and I'm like, it sounds like you got married to someone you don't really know.
Yeah.
Because Allison and I know each other very well, and we get along very well, and we're both very rational, reasonable people.
That's a great thing to find in a woman.
I know.
And I don't mean that. I'm not saying
true? What? Yeah. It's very rare to find that in a woman. True.
Women are crazy. They're not. Men are also, or let's put it this way, we're both crazy.
Yep.
And it's not like men aren't emotional and blah, blah, blah. But I don't really care about that aspect in men because I don't date men. What I care about is the opposite sex. And if you can find a woman who's sexy and also rational, that's great, because they sometimes, let's just put it this way, they sometimes don't go hand in hand.
That's true.
Yeah, they do.
It's funny though.
I said my piece.
I was talking to my wife, and I made a joke. I said, "Bitches be crazy, yo," which is a line from the movie.
Of course, it's nothing.
And then she goes, "Are you kidding?" She's like, "I've watched you guys out there at the skate park. You guys are nuts." And I look out the window, and one of our team riders is like trying to jump off a building, and I was like, "She's right." Men are crazy in different ways.
Different ways, of
We
course.
got a guy
Absolutely.
who. So we bought these things called Grabos. Okay, they are handles with vacuums that you can stick to a wall. And I bought them because they were funny.
Handles with
Yeah,
vacuum.
okay, so it's this oval, and it's got a handle on it. You take it, you press a button, put it on the wall, and
it's like what Tom Cruise uses to climb down a 130-story
That's right.
building and doing his own stunt in Mission Impossible.
And
right. And they say Scientology.
That is true. Men are crazy, but in different ways.
He doesn't make it crazy.
Well, so one of our skateboarder team riders, Mike Noggle, decided he was going to jump up on his board against the wall, grab them, and then flip himself upside down. And then he fell on his head, and he had to go to the hospital. And so I said, my wife is right. Men are crazy in different ways.
Yeah. Again, no doubt about that. It just doesn't matter to me because I don't have relationships with men that involve, and once in a while, there have been guys I like and I'm not going to mention anybody specifically, but they will get a little girl-like, and I will have to say to them, bro, I don't have this kind of shit with women. You think I'm going to have it with you? Like, I'll call you back when I'll call you back. Okay? No nagging. If I want to be nagged, I'd have gotten married. Again, I wouldn't do this for a woman. So just don't be so clingy. The way the world is going.
All right, we're skipping that.
Dark. Brought to you by Skechers, hands-free.
More ads?
Random. So how's your wife? Club Random to save 20% off your first pair. Terms and conditions may apply. So how's your wife like West Virginia?
I think she likes it. I think
like Green Acres. She wishes
she wants to be in Montana.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why Montana?
Anywhere. Actually, probably Wyoming. And she loves skiing, and I would love to go there as well. In fact, we looked there before coming to Western Maryland, but it's impractical to try and do an in-person news show from Wyoming or Montana. So
why is it any more impractical than West Virginia?
Because we're an hour from DC. So let you land at Dulles, and you're an hour and a half, and you're in the studio ready to go.
Right.
Yep, I looked at Maine too. Because we were like far away, middle of nowhere, safer, more secure, and we need the internet. So East Coast is best. Half the country lives on the East Coast.
Right.
So if we could, we would have done Wyoming, and then been skiing and farming and whatnot.
Well, this goes to what I always say about politics, I think, which is that it's an outgrowth of personality. Obviously, your personality is you want to be remote. You're not a city guy, even though you're from Chicago. That's not your personality. I mean, you're a guy. West Virginia was not remote enough for you. You wanted someplace with an even bigger sky. Montana,
Eventually.
Wyoming.
I think eventually, for us, it's
Look, I'm a suburban guy. Like, I grew up in the suburbs. I never liked living in New York City. I know it's a great city, and I enjoy going there a few times a year in the spring and the fall when the weather's nice, and I know a lot of people, and of course, it's the greatest. But I never enjoyed being there. I like the suburbs.
I see you.
That's what's just my personality.
I agree.
Maybe that's why I'm sort of like somebody who both sides can talk to, because I'm not exactly a city dweller, but I'm also don't want to live in the middle of bumfuck.
Alice Bianca.
You know what's fascinating is my neighborhood from Chicago.
Hello, hi. What are you doing? Why are you here? I didn't mean that in a negative way, or take it in a negative way. Whatever.
Turned red.
I'm watching Tim Pool right now.
So my audience, the biggest
Nufin
demographic
Ceramics
is
for 3 Irova. Cheap viewers on streambo.com.
Good old bot. Don't do it, chat. Don't do it. It's a bot.
west of Chicago, and it's a weird position to be in because to see Chicago's liberal. My neighborhood was by the Midway Airport, and it's a lot of firefighters and cops.
Yeah.
And it's largely like Polish immigrant and then like white working class and Hispanic. And it flipped for Trump in Chicago. And I think
some parts of the Bronx too.
Oh wow. I think my politics are like, if you were, I'm like a Chicago liberal, but the way things have gone, especially with like the woke stuff.
Alice Bianca. Every welcome me as a bot.
Yeah. 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 I have to be careful with those. Well, sorta, not really, but like, that's. Oh, I want to say like, what? Nah, I won't highball it. Like maybe 30% of the people that come in, they're bots. In the beginning, it used to be 90%, but we're getting better. We're getting better because more normal people are actually coming in.
I end up in this position, and so does my neighborhood. I think it's interesting to see my neighborhood reflective of my politics and vice versa.
I think the phrase I was using last year was aggressively non-common sense or uncommonsensical. And it's like I accent
Alice
aggressively.
Bianca.
I don't think
that's hilarious.
The woke people who have the vast amount of energy really in the Democratic Party understand why the people vote against them. And it's like, because if you add up like how many people are really affected by some of the aggressively uncommon sense things, it's probably not that many.
You got a great bit on that.
Yeah.
Why are you pandering to 400 people?
Of course. Okay.
I like my my Beanie Boy, and Bill Maher can be a little base sometimes.
Alice Bianca. I feel bad when someone say me, but I'm a normal person.
Yeah, once I saw the emote, I was like, oh, okay.
Alice Bianca. Person.
Yeah, look at that. See, like bots don't correct their spelling mistakes, or they don't have spelling mistakes.
But when you add up these things.
But how are you doing? How is your Memorial Day doing?
And
since we've clarified that that you're obviously not a bot. I say that almost half kiddingly.
Competing in women's sports and like just too much indoctrination of children with sexual ideas that they're too young to understand. Like when you add up all these things that get in the media a lot, it paints a picture, not a wrong picture, in the mind of the average voter that, yeah, maybe policy-wise I would do better under the Democrats or Bernie Sanders. But these other people just seem fucking crazy. They seem like committed to just going to absurd lengths just for shits and giggles, just for the fuck of it, just this bizarre attachment to things that are just ridiculous.
I think it's to hate the other side.
It is,
yeah.
and that's certainly what the other side does. They call it making you cry your liberal tears.
Oh, yeah.
The
Alice
entire
Bianca.
policy.
It's a fine day and I'm so tired. BCZ, I'm on a job. There is no customer in store.
I'm on a job and there's no. Oh, damn. Well. Damn, I don't know what to say, except kind of sucks. And you're working. Well, I mean, I guess at least you're getting paid time and a half, probably, right? Because it's a holiday. You get holiday pay. Hopefully.
See, well, not always. Now, there are some things that have different motivations.
Alice Bianca. That's why I opened this platform.
Ah, nice. You have any thoughts on the Bill Maher or I guess I was talking about the Dave Smith stuff earlier, but now we've moved on from that because I spent a little bit too much time on it. But any thoughts on the Bill Maher, Tim Pool stuff? Just listening and not really saying anything, which kind of sucks because like I want to be able to like say stuff, but if I don't disagree or if I agree with everything, I'm just going to say yes, true, based for like the next hour. Like it's kind of boring.
That works both ways. Sometimes free trade does hurt people, and that's why there are tariff. Trump is not the first person to advocate tariffs. He's just the first person to do it in this kind of crazy, haphazard way.
Right, I agree. I think that when he announced selective tariffs, I was like, all right, let's go. Then when he announced universal tariffs, I was like, I don't know if that makes sense. What is he doing? And but I'm not. I think one of the problems.
But everyone calls Tim Pool a Trump simp. Trump can do no wrong, but like he literally just said, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. He's not simping for him right now.
We've seen over the past several years with Trump is the immediate assumption that he's a crazy person all the time. And so the only thing I can say is, well, I vote for the guy. I think this is probably doesn't make sense to me, but I'll see what happens and we'll see if it makes sense. Selective tariffs, I think, do make sense. But I do think that the way the Democratic Party has handled opposition has guaranteed the kind of Trumpian.
I just appreciate how open he is about being like his biases and who he voted for. And I just like how open he is when it comes to that type of stuff. And he's always been like that, because there's another streamer that tends to conspiracy theorized Tim Pool's actual true nature, and he believes that Tim Pool is like a terrible person or whatever, and I'm like, I don't see it.
Well, I'm sure you heard about my little trip to the White House.
Absolutely.
And
Very much.
Thank you. And the thing that upset the far left so much, these same people who believe in the crazy things I was just mentioning, and the ones who really hate me, they really found a new reason to hate me, because when I came back and gave my report about it, among the things I said, to your point about everything is he crazy, was, I think, word for word,
Alice Bianca.
a crazy person.
Last 5 days ago I watched the video real time with Bill Maher.
Oh, with oh man, I'm experiencing dropped frames because of data. There's a data network issue. So if there's anything where I'm literally like cutting out, yeah, I see it. Yeah. There literally is nothing I can't fix this dropped frame thing, but because it's a data issue, not like a computer incapacity issue. But oh, so you watched Bill Maher with Tim Pool, or are you just saying real time with Bill Maher in general?
Person doesn't live in the White House. A person who plays a crazy person on TV lives in the White House.
Yeah.
And they found that very triggering. But again, as I said many times during that piece, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I didn't vote for him. I think we all know that. I went right back to being as tough on him as I ever had been. So I wasn't like seduced, but that was my estimation. Again, to your point about, is he just crazy? When you meet him in person and spend that kind of time, and he's not on his his attack mode thing, he does not strike you as a crazy person, or a person who doesn't listen or can't hear things. Again, they were very mad at me for saying this, but that's what happened.
Yeah, it's very true. Well, that's why I'm like, you need to meet Trump in person to understand why people like Trump. You have to. Just listening to what he says in the media you're not getting the actual like person himself. Like if you just listen to him in the media, then he just looks like a crazy person. And that's like, obviously, if you want to just believe that, and it's like confirming your biases, then I guess fine, you can believe that. But like, you obviously aren't getting the real deal there. And that's what Bill Maher and Tim, like they both met him in real life. I haven't, but I've seen the interactions that they're talking about.
I am not
They're very
a liar.
rare,
That's
though.
my main bond with the audience. So even if I offended some people by telling the truth, in the long run, that's what I do. And they, yeah.
What I saw in 2020, I was not going to vote for Trump. I'll never vote for Trump. I don't like Trump. And I donated the max to Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard. And my position, my whole thought process was the Democrats are going crazy, and we need the moderate, sane Democrats to maintain control of this party and stop the insanity.
Correct.
And they lost. And so then Trump put out his statement in around August saying, we're going to ban DEI in government contracting. We're going to do these things, blah, blah. No new wars was big for me. I'm a very anti-interventionist for a lot of reasons. And so I said, I guess I'm voting for Trump. Instantly, it was like the liberals, even YouTube, they all said, we're going to move your name over to this list. I kid you not. There's representatives at YouTube. They told me straight up that the liberal rep was no longer representing me and they were switching me to a conservative rep. It was the weirdest thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's not that I like who Trump is or that I'm like thinking that conservatives have a good policy. I'm pro-choice. The issue is that you can look at it right now. There's no charismatic leaders. There's no front runners. There's no policy position. It seems like the only thing they have is the right is bad, Trump is bad. And so I'm asking, like, what are our plans?
No, they have, Democrats have policy positions on everything, and many of them are, I think, preferable to Republican policy positions. Number one being they concede elections. That's kind of a big one with me. They listen to what the courts say.
I don't know about that.
They concede elections. What happened in 2016 with Hillary? Oh, he didn't even win the popular vote. Like, bro, what happened to the whole Russia like FBI investigation that happened for 2 years after Trump came into office in 2016? Oh, they concede elections. Okay, dude.
You don't think they listen to what courts say? I mean,
so Joe Biden,
I mean, that's
ignored the court rulings twice on forgiving student loans, and then tried to decree the Equal Rights Amendment.
That's true. That's true.
But I'm not saying to defend Trump. I'm just saying, like,
Club Random is brought to you.
Yeah, that's true. We're skipping the ad. No ads. We don't want to listen to ads. Damn, this is like the third one too. Like, holy crap. I mean, that's where he makes his money, I guess.
On house, like what today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. There are arguments. Of course, the Republicans, that just works for them because there are issues.
Hey, thank you for the follow. Please don't be a bot. Are you going to say anything?
Hannah Brooks. Hello.
Hello, hi. Hi.
Hannah Brooks. What's good?
What's good right now is you not asking me about to make art. Yeah, that's what's good. That's what's good right now. Don't ask me about art. I swear.
It's like what you mentioned, which is not
Any thoughts of what we're doing right now?
Hannah Brooks. I hope you are having a wonderful day today.
You're not responding to what I'm actually saying. Okay. Okay.
True. Where it's so easy
Hannah
for them to
Brooks.
go, well,
How's your streaming going?
All right, Hannah Brooks. You're not responding to my stuff. We're gonna have to give you a let's see. Let's time you out for like 2 minutes. There you go. My day's been going good. That's good. Your stream is so amazing. That's literally what they said. Yeah, this is a bot. Hannah Brooks, you're a bot.
Did this, so we're going to do it 5 times worse. And then they do. But there are some like that. But there's one that has no
Bianca.
fuzz on it.
I
And
think
that's
she is a
elections.
bot.
When Democrats
Yeah, I timed her out. Always been hardworking. Your dream will surely come true. Yeah, I can see it on the other chat, but I timed her out on the main chat, so her stuff won't be said anymore. Yeah, definitely a bot.
lose elections, it's over the next day.
Enjoy every pixel of your gaming journey with your streams. Spread joy and fun vibes, all keeping around Rocky and keeping your fun alive. What are you talking about? Like, what?
Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton.
Not Hillary Clinton.
Not
Al Gore.
Al Gore was not Al Gore doing that.
Yeah, I'm just going to ignore
Alice Bianca. LOL, why bots always try to fuck the vibe LMAO.
Yeah. It's whatever, I guess.
Obviously, decided by 537 votes. There was an absolute, when it's that close.
I bet Hannah Brooks is going to ask about art, because that's what they do all the time. Wait, let's see. Why haven't you upgraded your channel yet? Is there is there a reason? It means there are no donations like logos, banners, overlays. Oh, art. V2, your channel needs that. Okay, yeah, whatever. All right, you're getting what do I do? So what's your Discord tag? My goodness. I mean, I'm just gonna ignore. She doesn't.
There should be a recount, and whether that recount went the right way, we'll never know, because that state was run by Catherine Harris and Jeb Bush.
There's a really good, I guess, I don't know if you call it a philosophical point that I've noticed that I think you're experiencing right now is I'm 39, so you lived through a lot of these administrations and these political cycles.
Yeah.
And you have experiences that I don't even know they exist.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't live through Lincoln, but I know about it.
Sure. My point is, my experience in politics has been the Democrats have challenged more than Republicans. To be fair,
Trump challenged the court?
Challenged the elections more than the Republicans have, in extreme ways.
That's ridiculous.
So, but perhaps
Hannah
because you're older
Brooks.
than me and you've seen more than
Hannah
I have.
Brooks, my Discord, request me.
You're gonna get now that you're not timed out anymore, you're going to get actually let's see. You're just gonna get blocked. Yep, you're completely blocked. Yep. No, like you're not listening. You're not responding to anything. You're just asking for my Discord handle so you can start sending me your art and then like scam me into like paying you for something that you didn't make.
Again, they're history.
Like I've heard that I've done this multiple. I haven't gotten scammed by them, but like they've gotten Like it's just stupid to give someone money before they actually make something. So I never did that. Like I gotten to the point to where they were like, oh, so like if you give me like this upfront fee, I can make something for you. I'm like, no, make something for me. And if I like it, then I'll pay you. Like that's how it's going to work. And they ultimately was like, but that's not how the industry works. This is what we normally do. This is standard. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then I guess I'm going to make my own art then. Goodbye.
Alice
Their
Bianca.
newspapers.
I know.
BTW,
don't
didn't
know
you got
something.
hacked before like this?
No, I didn't get hacked. It's just that I've entertained a bot a little too long in chat. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. I entertained them a little bit too long. Actually, this person, the guy that does this, or the person, or the people that do this, some of them are actual bots where they don't even care and they don't actually
Alice
respond to what
Bianca.
you're saying.
I can totally feel you, LMAO. Alice Bianca. Hee hee hee.
But then some of them are actual real people that just try to scam you into giving them money before actually making anything. And I didn't realize that was the whole thing. Like, I didn't want to give them money because like I just didn't have money to give them. Like, you're making art for my channel, which I can make myself. Like everything that you see on the screen is all me. Like, I made this in an art program. I made this. But like I've made every single scene, and the border around my let's see, yeah, the border around my my camera, I made that. I don't need people to make art. And so like, and then you want me to pay for it before it comes into play? It's just dumb. Like I don't get. There's a bunch of hacking ways to, I guess, hack, like social engineering. That's literally what people will consider like hacking. Like you basically trick someone into giving your password and user, and that's how they hack your account, because you click the link and then that link sent you to a login page, and then you have to log in order to see the thing that they sent you. And then when you log
Alice
in,
Bianca. Hey, come on, there are a lot of real artists who are really talented.
yeah, they are. It's just that I don't feel like paying them before they make something for me. And but yeah, the whole hacking stuff, like so many people fall for it, and it's so I mean, I understand it, but like I feel like it's just so easy to see when someone is trying to hack your information. But yeah. Yeah, you just opened up a can of worms, some of the stuff that I was thinking about, but yeah, let's just continue this.
Only because you lived through it. I know about the French Revolution also.
My point is,
I mean, you could know
Unless you have more to talk about, then I'll definitely engage, but just so there's no dead silence.
about this.
indeed.
I mean, this is something that people your age say all the time, and I've made fun of it before. Like,
Alice
it's like,
Bianca.
if
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I wasn't alive for it, it didn't happen, I don't have to know about it.
But that's
No,
not what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
okay, but
I'm saying that in 2016, I didn't vote for either Trump or Hillary, and then I got 3 years of Trump is working for the Russians.
he was not.
True. True. Yes. Everyone forgets that. Thank you, Tim.
Working for the Russians.
Jonathan Che went on MSNBC and said he may have been a Soviet asset since the 80s.
Well,
And so for me, I'm like, I'm out. This is crazy. And so, like, understand, and I'm not saying you're wrong about history. I'm saying that
Alice
experiencing
Bianca. LOL.
political
Yeah.
cycle over years is different from reading the condensed history books, which of course I do. So to live through 4 years of a president, their term, every single moment, the history books gloss over most of those experiences that we don't have as young people. So I have people on my show who are 25. And one of the people who works for us says, nothing ever happens. She's 24. And this is like a Gen Z.
I know exactly who he's talking about. Let's bring her up right now. What's her name? What's her name? Something. What's her name? Ghost Girl on Timcast IRL. Mary Morgan. Yes, it's her. This this girl. They call it a ghost girl because I guess she's just super pale or whatever. Mary Morgan. Actually, yeah, this lady, this person, he's literally talking about her.
Alice Bianca. LMAO.
Yeah.
Z thing, nothing ever happens. And I said, are you kidding? The past 10 years have been nothing but happenings.
Yeah.
Here's the issue. When she was 14, she wasn't paying attention to politics. When she was around 20 years old and started, this was the natural state of politics in her experience. So this is basic. This is normal. And for me, it's crazy. And I think for you, it's crazy. but they grew up in this and they've normalized it. So my view is this, not to say that you're wrong, obviously. My point is,
well, it's not that she normalized it. It's just the fact that you grew up in this, so it is normal. You don't, like, when people are born into a specific situation, people don't automatically think that the situation that they're in is abnormal.
Alice Bianca. Why he is so angry on Trump, lol. Alice Bianca. Hehehe.
Why is he so, wait, what do you mean? He's not angry on Trump. He's more, I mean, he's talking about a specific person that's on his show, but wait, are you talking about Bill Maher? I don't think Bill Maher is being that confrontational yet. Bill Maher has his opinions, but he's not really being that bad right now. I think this is pretty good.
when I watched the Democrats accuse Trump and Manafort and Carter Page and all of these things, especially when they fabricated evidence against Carter Page, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe the Democrats are going to this length to deny an election.
You're watching a little too much Fox News or somebody who's slanting this a certain way. I mean, Paul Manafort was sharing polling information with a GRU agent.
And do you know how they found out about that?
How did they find out about that?
Ukrainian government officials shared it with the Democratic Party.
So?
Politico reported that. So you have this Ukrainian interference in our election as reported by Politico. And I look at that and I go, wow, the Ukrainian government sent incriminating evidence to the Democrats? Crazy story. Then they claim Donald...
But it was true.
And, indeed. And the issue is, why wasn't that a scandal? That the Ukrainians were interfering in the election?
Let's not get... Because this is a friendly thing. Let's not get into the weeds on, like, the Russia thing. First of all, it's like...
Oh, let's not get into the weeds. All right, Bill. I mean, it is his show. If he doesn't want to get into something that might make his perspective look a little bit,
Alice Bianca. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I appreciate the way he is countering and talking.
Yeah.
5 years old, so people are bored with it. Okay, but I'll just say this in general. It'd be hard to argue with it, I think, but I'll just say it, and maybe we can just move on. Whatever it was, I don't think Trump was a Russian asset. Don Jr. at one point said...
I mean, but bro, that's literally how they portrayed him, though. Like, it was a 2-year-long FBI investigation into Trump's...
Alice Bianca. BTW, he is handsome too, lol.
Wait, Trump or Bill Maher? Which one? I know there's a slight delay, so I'm actually legitimately confused. Oh wait, or Tim Pool. Like, I think Tim is with the beanie on. Yeah, he's a little handsome. With the beanie off, I don't know.
Alice Bianca. LOL.
Maybe it was Eric. We do get a lion's share of our to the company from the Russians. So there was obviously
Alice Bianca.
Lot of...
Trump is not handome.
I know what you meant, but yeah. All right. I mean, I don't think old people just they don't look as great as they were when they were young. Let's just say that.
Involvement with the Russians. Trump was asked at his first press conference, and he said, "I have no dealings with the Russians." It's a total, complete lie. They had nothing. That's not illegal. But it just looks suspicious to say, "I don't know anything about the Russians. I have no idea." And then, like, I don't know anybody who's talking to the Russians. Everybody in the administration, Michael Flynn was prosecuted for it, was talking to the Russians. He said on TV, "Russia, if you're listening, I want your help with something." Okay, whether you think that's good or bad, it was completely unprecedented. So, like, the idea that he should not have been investigated for there's a lot of smoke here.
I want to know when that quote was taken, because if that quote was taking like a year within the whole Russia investigation, I think that's Trump literally trolling people, saying that, yeah, like everyone keeps saying that I got help with this Russian thing. I think I might as well start getting help from these guys if everyone keeps accusing me. Like, that would be the troll, essentially, if depending on when that quote came out. But if that quote came out pre-2016 election, then I'm like, okay, all right, I see it. Why is Trump saying that? Like, why is Trump saying that? But, like, depending on when that quote came out, I don't know when. One would validate the conspiracy of Trump being involved with I mean, it's not even a conspiracy anymore. Like, the FBI ruled that there was no evidence that, like, Trump had anything, like the Russians had anything to do with, like, changing the election in 2016. Like, they closed the investigation because of that. But yeah.
Here with Trump and Russia, to me, okay, I'm sure they overdid it, as everybody overdoes everything. but there was a lot of smoke, enough to investigate, and what he was asking another country to do in our elections publicly was unprecedented. We always had one rule in this country: we're going to go against each other. Yes, Republican, Democrat, we'll do whatever it takes, but we don't bring in ringers from outside.
Ukraine.
What they brought that in the same election?
I forgot the name of the woman. This is on Politico. You can just read their story. It was I can't remember the guy's name who reported it.
No, it's possible that again.
This is why I liked him. Like, he doesn't disagree with Bill. It's just that stop making it so one-sided, as if the Democrats aren't doing the exact same thing. Thank you, Tim.
There's always some version of it on the other side. It's just not as egregious, I think.
You know, they're
yes. Thank you, Bill. I was about to correct him. He said he thinks. I'm like, yes, Bill. I of course you think that. Yes. And obviously I think the opposite. So, or not the opposite, but I have more of the perspective of what Tim sees, because like I've watched Tim for a long time.
They're accusing me of working for the Russians now, and they tried. And so here's the story. I get contacted by a conservative personality. I've got 3 shows that I host, several that I have staff that host. One of them is called The Culture War.
Right.
We produced it for 2 years, Friday mornings, similar to this, sometimes debates. And I was reached out by like 3 different companies who said, we want to license something you're doing. And I said, we do our own internal ad sales. We don't need a license. Some offers were made. Some of them were really good. And I said, I'm not really interested because the ad sales I can generate exceed your licensing. So I get reached out by this company in Tennessee from a well-known, prominent conservative personality who works for a big company.
Yes, the tenant media stuff. Yes. I like how Tim is the one that's bringing up his controversy. Thank you, Tim. Like, this is why I like Tim. Super open. Like, Tim doesn't even have to say anything about this. He could have just waited until Bill Maher said anything about it. But Tim's like, nah, I'm open. Like, people are accusing me of this stuff. I'm going to bring it up.
BTW, what do you think why Trump announced ceasefire between Pakistan and India?
Because Trump has this whole motto of like, no, like the whole MAGA thing started or is embellished with the whole no new wars underneath him. So Trump is like, we cannot have a single war underneath my presidency, no matter what. So I think that's where it starts and stops with the analysis. I could be wrong on that. There might be some more in-depth stuff, but I haven't really looked into it that well. But yeah, like Trump just doesn't like war. And it's because of the base. Like the base doesn't like war. The MAGA people don't like war because like that's what
Alice Bianca. LOL.
Like that's just what they've like said, the slogans, like all the slogans that Trump has said in running up to the election. I think that's probably the main big reason on why he's doing that. And that's why he has the whole rhetoric that he has in with Gaza and like we're going to turn it into massive hotels where no one wants to bomb or a luxury site because like we can't have any more wars and stuff like that. So yeah, like that's another, like it's just the no new war thing, and I think that's where it starts and stops. Actually, the analysis. There's probably more in depth into it, but I haven't looked into it that much.
Companies and said, we've secured an investor. We want to license the show. We negotiated terms. Lawyer negotiated terms.
But Tim is right now talking about the whole tenant media thing and how tenant media was exposed by the FBI or they got indicted by the FBI because there was a funding scheme.
BTW, I think you should have to change your logo cause it's not matching your vibe.
My logo. Well, my logo is because it looks like a wait a second. I have a ton of logos for different channels. And let me see. I think I like my logo. It's supposed to be a pie, but like it's weird. Like the pie symbol. I made that a long time ago and it kind of just stuck with me. It doesn't even have any like real meaning behind it except for that it looks like a pie. I did have a name change, so it's completely different now. Like there used to be
Alice Bianca. Yeah, the color theme style is really not matching.
What is it? What does the color theme style make you think that I'm? What's the mismatch? Like what does that symbol? Like what do you think it's supposed to mean? Like how do you expect me to to conduct myself based on that symbol. And then I guess tell me what you think I'm doing that's in contradiction of that symbol. Yeah, I think that's the word or the way to say it. Like what does my symbol actually mean? Like I don't know what you're I don't know what you no, I know what you mean. It's just that I don't know what my symbol is supposed to mean, right? Or what you think it's supposed to mean. Like, tell me what your thoughts on that.
Right? Non-exclusive license for distribution. They could sell the ads on the show. I get the money, the licensing fee, which basically,
like, why do you think there's a mismatch? That's all I'm asking. Like, that was a long way of saying, why do you think there's a mismatch? Because I've actually never had that. Never actually had that.
Alice
question.
Bianca. Like you do gaming and political stuff, so you have to use something which can show it.
Oh, okay. So it's not that there's a different meaning for my icon. It's just that my icon isn't relevant to what I'm doing. Okay, I can sort of understand. I can understand that.
Choose to grow the show for 2 years or just license it now and take the money.
You sound like you're a naturally savvy businessman.
Maybe. Well, this didn't work out too well for me because what happened was at the end of last year, the DOJ indicted some random, I say random because they're not personalities from Russians, who are apparently in some Eastern European country, claiming that they were funneling money illicitly into this conservative company in Nashville to then promote Russian propaganda or something. The narrative now is Tim Pool was prosecuted for working for the Russians. The real story is the DOJ launched an indictment and dropped it almost immediately with no evidence, accusing a conservative personality of illicitly taking money from the Russians without evidence, destroyed the company, destroyed their lives, and then impugned the honor of anybody who had done any license agreements with a Nashville-based company.
Boy, you really hit people's nerves.
But I didn't.
Alice Bianca. Like a logo is a way to show what are you doing, so YK what I mean.
Oh, no. I was just, because I thought you, when you were saying that, I thought you meant my logo actually had a different meaning, but I was digging too deep into what you were actually saying. So I should have had a more surface level thought process from what you were saying instead of a deeper level thought process. Like, I thought what you were saying is
Alice Bianca. Even your screen is like Italy flag.
Italy flag. I mean, I like my little angles. I like my angle. Wait, where is it? Yeah, I like my little angles and stuff like that. I think it looks pretty cool. I think it looks all right. But I don't know. I made the art style. I'm not really that great of an artist, but yeah. Should I like I'm not trying to make. I mean, I'm gonna force this art style to become a political thing or whatever. I mean, I'm not even trying to be like. I just want to share my thoughts. That's all I want to do. Just share my thoughts.
Didn't do anything.
I tell you what I'm not going to do is show up unannounced at your door in the middle of the night. Hey, it'll be like Sonny on the Causeway. You know, it'll be the end of Bonnie and Clyde. It'll just be like riddled with, yeah, boy.
It's a crazy
You got to take it as kind of a compliment. People care.
That's true. If they're not, I don't know.
But does it?
Wait, but this is wild. This is actually wild. I didn't know so they impugn the honor of everything. Oh my God, Destiny, why did you do this? Why did you fall into this conspiracy theory?
Jay indicted some random, and
Right.
we produced it for 2 years, Friday mornings. Similar
You know a guy named Destiny, streamer Destiny? That's who I'm referring to. Destiny streamer. This dude, Stephen Bennell, the second. Where is
Alice Bianca. What if I do something for you? I have 5 years of experience, so I can do thing which really show the thing. What are you doing exactly?
Are you pretending to be a bot right now? Are you pretending to be a bot right now?
Where's Neri? Hello, bot?
I don't know. I'm not going to accuse this person of being a bot yet. I mean, you're obviously not a bot. You're responding to everything that I'm doing, but you're being a little fishy right now. I didn't really like when you said the logo thing. I didn't really think two seconds of it, but then when you started pressing on it, and then saying it looks like an Italy flag, I'm starting to think that you're trying to get me to do something.
Alice Bianca. I hope you're not taking me as a bot. I have almost 3,000 followers. Come check out.
Oh no, I don't think you're a bot. You're actually listening to me. But you could be one of those other the more advanced, sophisticated versions of I guess what you call a bot, AI. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know. You're a real person. I know that. Like, I'm not saying that you're not.
For this, sometimes debates. And I was reached out by like 3 different companies who
How are
said,
you doing, Wartsenary? Thanks for coming back.
Alice
We're
Bianca.
watching some Tim Pool.
Exactly not friend. I'm just artist who love arts. Alice Bianca. Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're a bot. I'm not saying you're a bot.
we want to license something you're doing. And I said, we do our own internal ad sales. We don't need a license. Some offers were made. Some of them were really good. And I said, I'm not really interested because the ad sales I can generate exceed your licensing. So I get reached out by this company
Alice
in
Bianca.
Tennessee.
Can we follow each other on C? Alice Bianca. X.
On C. I looked at the keyboard and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Because the C is right next to the letter X.
Alice Bianca. LOL typo things.
Yeah. I mean, my links should be in the description. Like, I got a bunch of different links.
From a well-known, prominent conservative personality who works for one of the big companies and said,
Mercenary.
we've secured an investment.
It's next to X. Winky face.
Yeah. I as soon as I look down at my keyboard, I'm like, yep. Yeah. Next to C, I'm like, C? What?
We want to license the show. We negotiated terms. Lawyer negotiated terms, market rate. Non-exclusive license for distribution. They could sell the ads on the show. I get the money, the licensing fee.
Okay, the best part about wait, I'm just gonna turn chat off for just a microsecond. But the best thing that I like about Tim, yeah, I will follow you. Tim is being so open about this. Bill did not say anything about the whole Russia thing, where the tenant media thing that Tim was involved with the FBI. Apparently the FBI investigated that and then immediately dropped the case, but basically now there's this whole conspiracy theory about how Tim Pool was getting money from the Russians. Like, the government, like Biden's government literally basically indicted publicly all the people that were associated with the tenant media stuff because there was some, I guess, evidence of Russia involvement or whatever for spreading propaganda, but then immediately drops the case. That's crazy. So you literally did that publicly, saying all these things, all these claims, and then dropped the case as if nothing happened. But now everyone's like calling Tim Pool and everyone involved with tenant media Russian assets because they claimed that they were getting money from Russia, but didn't actually prove anything. That's kind of wild to me. I didn't even realize that.
Which basically, I can choose to grow the show for 2 years or just license it now and take the money.
You sound like you're a naturally savvy businessman.
Maybe. Well, this didn't work out too well for me because what happened was at the end of last year, the DOJ indicted some random, I say random because they're not personalities, some Russians who were apparently in some Eastern European country, claiming that they were funneling money illicit.
BTW, check your X. Worse Nary. Did you see the Tim Pool and Adam Conover? That was funny. Alice Bianca. I got you.
I did not see the Tim Pool and Adam Conver. I want to see what's this? What's this? TYT Sports. What's going on? Comedian runs circles around. Oh, that conversation. Oh yes, I wanted to watch. Actually, when I was live, I saw that pop up on my watch, and I said maybe I want to like stop what I was doing, but I just wanted to finish the Destiny Erudite thing with the other dude. But I should have watched that live. I should have, because I ended up watching it the day after, and I'm like, bro, I should have watched that live. That was some good content. I know what you're talking about.
I dropped you a link in Discord for AJW as I was wetting myself on his coverage.
Oh yeah, wait, let me collect that. Let me collect that.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to Tim Pool destroys woke comedian. It's fine. You can start the clip at this point if you're doing your response videos.
Every once in a while, when I'm on the internet.com and I'm scrolling for things to get angry at in order to make videos about, I end up stumbling across.
Yeah, we're gonna do a whole sidetrack. Yeah, we're doing
something
this.
that I genuinely didn't believe was a thing
Where's
anymore.
Neri?
In a perfect
No spoilers, AJW was so good.
example of that is Adam Conover, this human being. I did not believe he actually existed anymore. And if you guys don't remember Adam, he used to be the guy that was on College Humor that used to do a show called Adam.
Oh, but like the whole thing. Wait, let me actually do the beginning part of this, because the whole conversation started so nicely. It started
The Culture War. We got a special episode today. It's not necessarily about a core issue. It's we're being joined by Adam Conover.
Hey, thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming, man. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm a comedian. I've made a couple television shows in the past. Did a true TV show, did a Netflix show. I'm a stand-up comic. I'm going to be in Charleston, South Carolina this weekend, and you guys invited me. Thought I'd swing by.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
You had what year was that show? Adam Ruins Everything.
It first came out in 2015, I think, and ran until 2019. We did like 4 or 5 cycles of it.
My mom loved your show.
Oh.
And I think she watched regularly. I watched a handful, to be honest. I'm not gonna,
That's fine.
But you did have one really good one on gun control that I thought was good, because you pointed out Reagan was the start of gun
Where's
control.
Neri?
And you had...
Seriously though, AJW was so funny doing this one.
We'll watch it, but there's like before I spoil myself with AJW, which we will do. I will get to that before the end of this. I really want to what's the word? I want to there's like 2 major points that I want to get into this. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. We're going to get to AJW, but just 2 major points that I want to get my take on first, and then we'll go back to AJW, because he definitely will hit those at a home run.
Had probably one of the most,
But I also want to start, there's this beginning part where I just want to show the respectfulness that they had in the beginning, because when I listened to this from the beginning, I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be like maybe some slight disagreements and then things going on, but then it gets, bro, when it goes down into the weeds of I'm like, holy crap, they really go at it. Like, what happened?
Honest portrayals when you had a Black Panther and like a white rural like fat guy, both being like, yes, guns.
Yeah.
Because we often see this depiction where it's like
Tim is literally just praising.
LOL, so good.
Like, Tim is literally just praising him in the beginning, and I'm like, how did things get so bad? So fall apart so fast.
Racists are mad.
Actually, it didn't even happen so fast. It happened just very kind of slowly, but built up over time.
They lump all 2A people
But
in.
honestly, my favorite part, actually, I'm just gonna stop spoiling. I'm gonna
with
go.
like all white supremacists or whatever.
Yeah.
And they try and act like conservatives are mad that Black people have guns, and it's like the 2A guys are not racist. It's a totally different ideology.
Well, yeah, we made the point in that video, though, that those people tend not to defend like Black people who are the Philandos Castile case, right, was one of the ones that we talked about. But that's comes.
That actually was a really interesting case too, because there were a lot of people on the right. For people who don't know, this is the guy got pulled over. I think he was smoking weed. He had a gun. He didn't draw it or anything, but the cop just shot and killed him.
I believe what happened. This is so many years ago.
Wait, I need to. Muslim. It's only mentioned once? It's only mentioned once? Oh, so I guess this is the part.
And I've done so many things that like my memory for stuff like this isn't as good as it used to be. But I believe he said
that information will become relevant as soon as we're done with the beginning
officer,
part.
I have a firearm, and which is what you're supposed to do. And the officer shot him, I think, at that point.
Yeah, like he didn't draw it or anything.
Yeah,
it was interesting to see the rift between.
He had it stored in the car properly. Yeah.
And then a lot of conservatives were like, yeah, well, you shouldn't have been smoking weed. And I'm like, whoa. Like, yes, but you don't die because you're armed. You have a right to keep and bear arms. So that was an interesting contrast. But anyway, that was, you got a lot of praise from the pro 2A people, because they were like, hey, this guy's, he's being honest. It's like, there are pro 2A people. They're not all going to be racist, white supremacists or whatever. But anyway, I digress. I'm curious. Well, I guess I can ask you something simple first. Like, what are you currently working on?
Currently, everything I'm doing is like podcast YouTube, right? The like mainstream entertainment industry kind of stopped making the kind of comedy I make, and so YouTube has like replaced television for so many people. It's the #1 streaming app on televisions. Their top format is television sets, and so that's where I've moved all my shit. And so yeah, I do kind of similar stuff.
I don't really.
What is currently happening politically and culturally.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, you're going to disagree. Your audience is going to disagree. It's
That's the point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's hard. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to, Tim Pool destroys woke comedian. It's fine. You can start the clip at this point if you're doing your response videos, Yeah. I mean, it looks like a pretty clear, fascist authoritarian takeover of the U.S. government. It's, we got people being thrown in unmarked vans. We got like the destruction of the civil service, which is like a pretty standard authoritarian tactic, like early on. And
yeah. I mean, it does kind of fall off almost instantaneously, but this is not the part that I want to get. I actually really wanted to watch this, but I want to make it quick, and we're gonna get back to the AJW thing. But let's go. I think this is the part where they talk about it
online and pointed out that a stabbing was carried out by a Muslim, and they got arrested for it.
Wait, no.
So you're saying simply the fact that Marco Rubio exercised his legal authority to do something was good. It's like he had the legal authority to do it. He could have enforced this law as he saw it on anybody. He could have enforced it on a comedian, right? Who's in town and goes on stage and says, "Hey, you know what? I disagree with this or that." Or, "Hey, I just did shows in
Canada,
I just did what?
You're not from Canada.
No, but I just did shows in the UK and Amsterdam, and I made fun of UK politics, made fun of American politics."
You wouldn't dare make fun of Islam, though.
Ooh, yeah, this was the part. This was my favorite part. Because this entire time, this guy was talking about, "Oh, Tim, you don't like free speech anymore because you're saying that people should just not like or free speech or freedom of expression because people that protest on green cards in schools against the government should be allowed to do that. But Tim, you're saying that they're not allowed to do that because they're on green cards and stuff like that." Obviously, he didn't frame it this way. He framed it in a much more negative light.
It was so funny.
Yeah, but this. He wasn't able to respond. Let's go back to normal speed and listen to how, like, the awkward silence of this.
And I made fun of UK politics, made fun of American politics.
You wouldn't dare make fun of Islam, though. Go to the UK and mock Islam. Do it.
Well, I don't have any jokes about Islam.
Why not? They got Pakistani grooming games for raping little girls. Why won't you go to the UK?
What?
Why won't you go to the UK and make jokes about Islam?
That is true. And that did come out where the government was literally covering that stuff up in UK or somewhere in Europe. I forget which one specifically. I don't want to get a random lawsuit saying, "Oh, I slandered the wrong country." I'm like, okay.
Islam.
I don't think it's very funny. I don't have any jokes about it. I'm so confused.
Of course you don't.
Dude,
yeah. Oh yeah, you're confused, all right, because you just walked
UK
into that
north.
one. Okay.
Let me help unconfuse you. Are there jokes that can be made about Islam? Yes or no?
Wait, I don't
Yes
want
or no?
to. I don't want to go to
Are you
this
scared?
particular rabbit hole.
No. You're terrified.
Yes, he's terrified.
You're a hypocrite.
What?
Are there jokes you can make about Islam? Muhammad banged a little girl, right?
I'm really baffled.
Come on. You're terrified of the subject. I'm not.
No, I'm not.
In the UK, you can.
Yes, you are. You were being so evasive right now. He's asking a simple question. Is there jokes that you can make about Islam? Obviously there is. And now he's like, I'm just baffled about the situation right now. That's him. That's literally him evading the question. He's afraid of saying something wrong. He's so afraid.
Jailed for making jokes about Islam or even bring up the grooming gangs. In the UK, you can be jailed for making jokes about Islam or even bring up the grooming gangs. There are people who go online and pointed out that a stabbing was carried out by a Muslim, and they got arrested for it. I'll bet you $1,000 you will not go to the UK and make a joke about any of that stuff, because you will not go to a foreign country and, in violation of their laws, speak out against what they've said not to speak out against. Do it. I dare you.
True. And that was Tim's whole point. And I think we might just go back to AJW's thing.
$10,000. Cash in your pocket if you go to the UK
Where's
and
Harry?
make a joke about
They haven't got me yet. Mahahaha.
Muhammad having a 12-year-old wife.
Don't test it, though. I need you to come back to my streams.
Man, this we got here faster than I thought we would in this conversation.
Faster than you thought? This we're 40 minutes in. What are you talking about?
You're shouting at me about something I don't understand.
It's very simple. What do you mean you don't understand? Okay, all right, yeah. I mean, obviously he's being super evasive. He has no idea how to like he was not expecting this to be something that he would have to like talk about. And he's just completely flustered and doesn't know what to say. And he's live and he's literally just regurgitating words because he has no idea what to do at this point. Because obviously it looks super hypocritical, but he can't agree with Tim because does he live in the UK? Doesn't this guy? Let's see. If he lives in the UK, I can understand why he's being super evasive, because when he goes back there, I mean, he was just on one of the biggest podcasts in the world, expounding his views on what he thinks, or trying to completely avoid talking about anything to do with a specific religion. Let's see. Lives.
Where's Neri?
In.
I think he's American or Canadian.
Oh. Just toward the search does not confirm whether he lives in the UK. He schedules. Oh, okay. Oh well, he says it's an American actor, so I guess he's American. All right. Well, I mean, then him being evasive on this just makes him look more of a coward than, like, if he actually lived in the UK, I can understand why he's being super evasive and super cautious on that. And I wouldn't necessarily call him a coward for that, or agree with Tim Pool's characterization of calling him a coward. But now that I know that he lives in the America, but now he's still acting the way that he is, I'm like, okay, you have no spine. Come on, bro.
I don't really understand how
Yes,
you would
do.
think it's incumbent upon
Do
me.
you think anybody watching this right now thinks you are confused by the notion that in the UK you go to jail for mocking Islam?
Yeah, what?
I don't understand how we got onto.
I don't understand how we got onto this topic. Tim literally explained it. He explained it. He said literally.
I
Joke here?
jokes about it. I'm so confused. Dude.
Okay, let me help unconfuse you.
Can
Are there jokes that can be made about Islam? Yes or no?
what?
Are there jokes you can make about Islam? Muhammad banged a little girl, right?
Yeah, you can make a joke about that. It's very like I wouldn't, because I like to live, but you could make the joke.
Really baffled.
Come on. You're terrified of the subject. I'm not.
No, I'm not.
There are people who go online and pointed out that a stabbing was carried out by a Muslim, and they got arrested for it. I'll bet you $1,000 you will not go to the UK and make a joke about any of that stuff, because you will not go to a foreign country and, in violation of their laws, speak out against what they've said not to speak out against. Do it.
That's the whole point of why Tim brought this up in the first place. And now he's acting like, oh, I don't even know how we got here. Like, bro, this is the reason why he said it.
I dare you.
I don't understand how we got onto you shouting at me about Islam specifically. I'd like to return to a point I
it's
was trying
because
to make.
you said people should be allowed to come to this country and speak out against it. And you said you're a comedian, and you go to other countries, right? And you said you go to the UK. And I said, okay, if you go to the UK, speak out in violation of their laws and see what happens. And you said, I'm confused. I don't understand. What don't you understand? Will you go to Turkey? Will you go to Turkey and speak out against Islam?
I mean, if I have,
I don't even need to watch AJW. Like, Tim is literally cooking him right now.
If I have a joke to make sure, I don't have.
We are gonna watch AJW. I'm just having a good time right now.
Joke about those particular topics.
You would.
I would.
You're saying if you had a joke about.
Oh yeah. Sure, I would try to do the best I can. I always try to poke the bear as much as I can. It's part of the job of a comedian. Because
bro, look like Tim is being so good faith about this.
Pertains to one of the world's largest religions. I mean, come on.
I mean, I haven't written a joke about that recently.
All right.
So look, hey man, I'm a free speech guy, right? I think that something that's nice about
Phew, seriously, Sean, missed a career in comedy.
All right, let's go to Sean. We're gonna watch some AJW. Where is that? There we go.
Adam ruins everything, where Adam would put himself opposite a myth that was widely believed to be true, say, well, actually, and then he would go on to debunk that myth. And this gave Adam some form of credibility because what he was doing was looking into things that we just bought into as basically sacred truths and tearing them down by doing the due diligence necessary to prove that that myth was in fact wrong. Well, now Adam has revealed himself to be a genuine basic progressive loser, and this is exactly how he presented himself on Tim Pool's The Culture War, where honestly he just made a fool of himself time and time again. Now, to be 100% clear, Tim Pool was not perfect in his representation of himself throughout the course of this segment. I will talk about an instance where I just don't think he did a very good job. However, overall, the highlights of this particular video are absolutely clear because Adam was doing all the basic progressive tricks and tactics in order to avoid actually, you know, having a normal, rational conversation with somebody who is opposing him. And by the way, all of these
like acting confused, like, come on, man.
Are in fact intentional. This is not Adam actually being dumb. He is playing dumb in order to avoid accountability, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com.
AJW, I'm such a fanboy.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
Mesa Ozturk, who, you know, she wrote an op-ed. The only thing that anybody has even claimed that she's done is she wrote an extremely mild op-ed in her campus newspaper asking that the college, like, sort of consider, you know, being supportive of the Palestinian cause in some vaguely defined way. Yeah. Her visa's revoked. She, you know, we've all seen the video, right? People come and, like, grab her and literally put her into a vehicle. They're wearing masks, right? I mean, she's stopped in an alarming way on the street, right?
It's not like they filmed that and published that footage, though. That was security camera footage.
Yeah, but they did it in hey, if you want a student, like a young woman, there's other ways to arrest them than have 6 people show up wearing masks, surround her in a pincer formation. Like, it's designed to create terror.
So I happen to be a very negative person myself, so I thought it would just be perfect to start this video on a negative point for Tim Pool, who I've met a couple of times, I get along with. I was actually recently on Timcast IRL, had a great time and whatnot, but this portion of the conversation, Tim did not represent himself very well, because essentially when they were talking about whether or not it was violative of the First Amendment for the Trump administration to revoke the visas of people in the United States who are either anti-Israel or pro-Hamas, aka participating in what would be protected speech for a United States citizen, they ended up in this weird place where Tim was saying, well, we never really had freedom of speech in this country anyway. There were always restrictions on the First Amendment, and honestly and genuinely, I just did not like the angle that Tim took in this particular conversation.
Tim?
Especially when there was a great avenue for debate that would have basically wrecked everything that Adam had to say about this particular topic. So let's play a little bit of that so you can understand what I'm talking about.
Wait, is he essentially saying that Tim didn't go hard enough, therefore Tim kind of failed? Or no, I mean he's critiquing Tim because Tim didn't. I mean, let's see. What clip is he saying?
Issue is, do not come to our country and tell us what to do. That's it. If you're here as a guest of this nation, you do not start rallying its people in opposition to the will of the voters and what the government is doing.
Wait, I 100% agree with that point, though.
I mean, I really thought the point of America was, you know, freedom of speech was like a main value here. That I think that's why people come here. It's why I like living here, because I always felt that, hey, I can express an opinion, especially about U.S. foreign policy, and not have anything happen to me. So that's a right that only citizens have. And you think America should be a country where, if you are not literally an American citizen, if you express any opinion about U.S. foreign policy, I mean, and we both agree the opinion she expressed was pretty mild. It wasn't like a very inflammatory opinion, right? It was like, it's pretty mainstream political opinion to have. It conflicts with U.S. interests about the Suez Canal. I still don't really understand that point, but let's just say that it does. That should be grounds for being forcibly removed from the country.
Well, because if we go back several administrations, that's not been the case ever. I mean, look at New York in the 2000s when the Bush administration rounded people up. And, well, I'm sorry, it wasn't Bush, during the Bush years, and they put 200 people in like a bus. They locked them in a bus cage.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's the country you grew up in. The idea that these things haven't been happening. George Carlin got arrested for swearing. We had blasphemy laws on the book.
Yeah, and it was bad. And then we said, oh, we shouldn't do that anymore.
And it never changed. The idea that you think you grew up in a nation where you could say whatever you wanted is an absurdity. George Carlin went to jail for swearing.
And that was good, you think?
No, it wasn't.
And you think it's good that Rumesa Ozturk is being forced into the country? So
she's on a conditional visa, as conditioned by the INA and the existing administration and the will of the voters.
So first of all, there have been a bunch of different violations of the First Amendment throughout American history, and as Adam says, and I will agree, a bunch of those violations.
That's what he meant when he meant that. Oh, Okay.
Violations are viewed as bad things by people who are defenders of freedom of speech. By the way, Adam Conover is not a defender of freedom of speech. Make no mistake about that.
The challenge with free speech, let's go back to the beginning of this country. Blasphemy laws were on the books after they even had the First Amendment. Like they literally said you can't blaspheme. We would say that's not free speech, but how did you have a First Amendment if you arrested people for blaspheming? My point is, and this is an anarchist philosophy, the laws of the country are dictated by those with the power to enforce it. That's why it used to be illegal to put a pie on your windowsill, but even though it's still illegal, nobody arrests you for it. So free speech does change throughout the generations. We never grew up in an era, we never had a time in our lives where you had true free speech the way the absolutists want it to be.
But also, and I think this is very important to note, and it was pointed out in the chat, however, this was a
Dang, he played a really big clip on Tim. I actually really appreciate that.
Recorded video. It was not a live stream. What Tim is citing for some of these instances as violations of the First Amendment are just factually not violations. When he talks about blasphemy laws that were put in at the state level after the founding of this country, that in reality was not a violation of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. And the reason for that is because prior to the 14th Amendment...
So when Tim said, okay, I understand his point, but when Tim said that, he didn't meant that literally. He meant that with the spirit of the law, not the actual word for word definition of the law. Because, like, I guess technically what AJW is saying is correct, but when Tim was saying that, Tim didn't meant that literally.
Amendment, the First Amendment did not apply to the states.
Nary?
In fact, none of
Not
the
the funny
amendments
part yet. Wait for it. Hold the line. Winky face.
All right.
Specifically applied to the states, even though a bunch of states had already added them into their state constitutions. The First Amendment was expressly written at the time that it was written to apply to the federal government. That's why it says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or abridging the freedom of speech. It doesn't say there shall be no government law. And again, that interpretation wasn't set down by the Supreme Court until post the 14th Amendment. And again, this is referred to as the incorporation doctrine. However, what Tim seems to also fail to realize and fail to point out towards Adam Conover that's absolutely crucial when we're talking about revoking people's visas and whatnot is the fact that deportation under United States Supreme Court precedent that goes back well over 100 years is not in any way, shape, or form a form of punishment. It is not something that is a penalty for a crime. And again, we have case after case after case throughout American history that says that removing somebody's visa, deporting somebody, is an administrative procedure, not a consequence for a crime. Therefore, you do not require a trial to be deported from the United States of America. Again, you don't have to commit an additional crime while in this nation in order to be deported. And as I've talked about before, if the Supreme Court were to change this, if the Supreme Court were to say that due process in terms of immigration, which you are entitled to even in immigration cases, includes a trial as if it was a criminal offense, we would actually never be able to deport anybody for any reason, because the whole process of going through a trial for somebody who you're just trying to determine whether they're a citizen or not and whether they're authorized to be here is absolute madness in every possible way. Now, that being said, if somebody were to actually receive a punishment, we're talking being jailed, we're talking being fined, we're talking being sent to prison based on their speech, whether it's against the United States or a foreign government, I would be 100% unambiguously opposed to that, because in reality, the First Amendment does in fact apply to people within the United States and under our jurisdiction. It does not just apply to American citizens, but because deportation is not considered a punishment, and it can't by any logical standard be considered a punishment because it would make deportation damn near impossible in this country. Therefore, this is just not what is going on factually in these particular cases. Now, with that being said, would I like or do I like the
Hold firm. Yeah, I am.
Trump administration revoking visas based on the idea that these people are criticizing a United States ally, in this particular case, Israel? Now, even though I'm clearly and obviously a shill for the nation of Israel, I'm paid for by the Jews, according to many of you out there in the audience, I actually don't support the Trump administration doing this. Now, of course, there are specific details.
I wish I was paid by the Jews, man. I really wish I was getting paid. I need that money. Come on now.
In specific cases on whether or not we want this person or that person in the country, regardless, whether or not they're endorsing a terrorist organization versus just condemning the nation of Israel. But as a general principle, as a rule, I don't like the Trump administration determining who gets to be here and who gets to not be here based on the idea that they may or may not support a foreign country. And to be clear, the foreign country that we're talking about in these instances is overwhelmingly, most of the time, the nation of Israel. That being said, being affiliated with certain political movements throughout the course of American history has been grounds for you to have your visa revoked has been grounds for you to be excluded from the United States of America. In fact, right now in the United States of America, we bar Communist Party members from coming to this country, from obtaining visas, from actually becoming American citizens. And I want to be 100% clear about this. I definitely support doing that. This country would be a lot better if we stopped importing so many different communists from around the world in order to train the American youth in order to hate the United States government, hate our country, hate our values. But unfortunately, that is not being enforced to the degree.
You know what's sad about that? I actually met someone. I met a couple of people in real life that actually say that they're like unironically communists, and they were trying to start like a whole union thing, and I'm like, why did the communists need to, like, they unironically said that to me, and I'm like, I don't even know, like, I didn't even know what to say. Like, I was just curious because, like, I never actually met, like, a real life one. So I kept asking them a bunch of questions because I was very, like, fascinated.
Where's Neri? My problem is that I see them as Nazis.
As Nazis. Communists? But they're different, though, apparently. They are different. I mean, they worked with them. They definitely did work with them. So they aligned with a couple of stuff, but their method of doing things on how, like, running a country is completely different, I think.
Agree that it should be, that it has in the past,
outcomes.
So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And obviously there are notable exceptions for people who were members of the Communist Party that happen to be fleeing communism and all that. But again, that is detailed and outlined in law. And obviously those same standards can apply to people who are directly supporting or pledging loyalty or doing something for foreign terrorist organizations. But to be clear, to the narrow extent that they're just criticizing the nation of Israel, I do not favor revoking their visa based on those grounds, even though, again, it is not technically a violation of the First Amendment because deportation is not technically a punishment. That's the argument that I think Tim Pool should have put forward, but he didn't. So let us move on to another topic.
Okay,
He could have enforced this law.
Okay. That's a good critique. Tim should have been a little bit stronger on that, but I guess Tim wasn't. I mean, AJ is just AJ just has a bigger brain. Than
Where's
Tim.
Neri? Here we go, take it home, Sean.
Yeah. Yep.
On anybody. He could have enforced it on a comedian, right? Who's in town and goes on stage and says, "Hey, you know what? I disagree with this or that." Or, "Hey, I just did shows in
Canada,
I just did what?
Not from Canada.
No, but I just did shows in the UK and Amsterdam, and I made fun of UK politics, made fun of American politics.
You wouldn't dare make fun of Islam, though. Go to the UK and mock Islam. Do it.
Well, I don't have any jokes about Islam.
So this right here is one of my favorite parts of the entire conversation, where they
It is the best part of the entire conversation. Your favorite part? What do you mean your favorite? It's the best part of the entire conversation. Don't hedge on that.
end up going from the First Amendment topic that I covered previous into Adam saying, well, I go around the world and I tell jokes. I make a comedy because I am comedian. Me, I'm comedy boy. And Tim says, well, you wouldn't dare do that about Islam. And then Adam acts a little bit confused. And then Tim responds to him by saying, go to the UK and make jokes about Islam. And then Adam says, I don't have any jokes about Islam. Adam Conover, professional comedian, alleged comedian, actual political propagandist, says that he just can't think of any jokes about Islam, a religion of over 1 billion people with a bunch of different weird and kooky practices that you could make fun of, but Adam just has nothing on that particular topic. And for those of you who think that Adam Conover doesn't talk about religion, doesn't mock religion, I just want to point out that people have highlighted that there's an episode of Adam Ruins Everything where he talks about how Christmas isn't actually Christian, it's all pagan and whatnot, and he ends up going after a bunch of different Christian traditions. Now again, I'm not talking about whether or not that is true or false. I could give a damn about whether or not Christmas has a bunch of pagan totems involved in the modern celebration of the holiday, but the fact is, Adam would not make any of those observations about modern Islam, and that is perfectly represented by him saying...
That just makes everything so much worse. Oh my god, damn. He is just... It's not Temple destroys Adam. It's AJW destroys Adam. Like, Tim didn't even know that
he just has no jokes about Islam. There is no comedy to be had over that particular situation. Adam Conover couldn't possibly think of joke related to Muslim. How could he possibly do that?
Go to the UK and mock Islam. Do it.
Well, I don't have any jokes about Islam.
Why not? They got Pakistani grooming games for raping little girls. Why won't you go to the UK?
What?
What? I don't think it's any very funny. I don't have any jokes about it. I'm so confused. What? Oh, Timothy, you've confused me. My brain doesn't operate
Neri?
right. So this is one
As
of the
in
things that
Mortal
I find
Kombat, finish
incredibly
it.
annoying about the left wing is that whenever you bring up a counterpoint to them,
it's
they
so
have a couple
good.
of tactics. One is the quick deflection onto something else. The other
It's so good because it's true. Yeah, he's acting. He's like, what? Thank you, AJ. Thank you.
one is to repeat your statement back to you as a way to stall for time. This is them buffering. But then there's this one, which I find to be even more annoying, where they pretend that they can't possibly understand the direction that you're going in. They can't possibly understand what you're saying. And that is exactly what Adam Conover is doing. He's like, what? Joke? Comedy? I am comedian, but you're saying I could do comedy about Islam? What? Shut up, Adam. Honestly, genuinely, from me to you, from the actual Justice Warrior, from Sean Fitzgerald to Adam Conover, the dope from Adam Ruins Everything, just shut the hell up if you're going
The editing is so good too.
to be this weak and this cowardly.
It's a surgical
this is
strike
probably
from orbit.
one of Tim's best moments that he's had in years, where
It's a tungsten rod from orbit. That's what it is.
he ends up posing this question to Adam Conover, and we get this ridiculous, what? Me brain no think of joke about Islam. How could I possibly make comedy about that in UK? What? How do we even get to this topic? What?
What?
Why won't you go to the UK and make jokes about Islam?
I don't think it's very funny. I don't have any jokes about it. I'm so confused.
What?
Dude,
Okay, let me help unconfuse you.
Can
Are there jokes that can be made about Islam? Yes or no?
wait, I don't
Yes
want
or no?
to. I don't want to go down
Are you
this
scared?
particular rabbit
Oh, no. You're terrified. You're a hypocrite.
What?
Are there jokes you can make about Islam? Muhammad banged a little girl, right?
I'm really baffled.
I'm terrified of this subject. I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Again, I really do appreciate Tim for calling him out on this, because he's like, look, are there jokes that you could make about Islam, yes or no? And Adam's like, what? I don't want to go down this rabbit hole.
All right.
What? Comedy about Islam? Me no understand it. What?
In the
You know, usually when someone does the same joke over and over again, it loses its validity. But this is just the one time where that just doesn't happen. Like, it's just so good all the time.
UK, you can be jailed for making jokes about Islam or even bring up the grooming gangs. There are people who go online and pointed out that a stabbing was carried out by a Muslim, and they got arrested for it. I'll bet you $1,000 you will not go to the UK and make a joke about any of that stuff, because you will not go to a foreign country and, in violation of their laws, speak out against what they've said not to speak out against. Do it. I dare you. $10,000. Cash in your pocket if you go to the UK and make a joke about Muhammad having a 12-year-old wife.
This we got here faster than I thought we would in this conversation.
What? Hypocrite? What, Tim?
Where you're shouting at me about something I don't understand.
Timothy, I'm so baffled. What? Let me furrow my brow. What? Islam criticism? Shut up, Adam. Honestly, you're not fooling anybody. Anybody who buys into the fact that Adam is thrown off or confused by this logical leap after Adam started talking about the value of freedom of speech and how he thinks it's great about the United States of America and it's something that should be enforced throughout the Western world, he gets asked a basic question about how the UK essentially arrests people for criticizing Islam, for criticizing immigrants and whatnot, and then all of a sudden it's comedy about Muslims. Shut up, Adam.
This we got here faster than I thought we would in this conversation. Where you're shouting at me about something I don't understand.
Again, Tim couldn't be more clear. He explains the link between what they were just talking about, how we ended up getting on this subject, and Adam is still feigning confusion. He's still like, what's happening? I'm so confused, Timothy. I don't know how we got here. I don't know how we got on that topic. And I do appreciate Tim at one point in time saying, let me
I see why you said that AJW should become a comedian. Yeah, I fully understand it. I support that.
unconfuse you and say it even simpler, but obviously Adam Conover is pretending right here. This is make-believe, and this is what you see right now on display for us, and it really is a demonstration of his cowardice.
I don't really understand how you would think it's incumbent upon me.
Do you think anybody watching this right now thinks you are confused by the notion that in the UK you go to jail for mocking Islam?
I don't understand how we got onto you shouting at me about Islam specifically. I'd like to return to
okay, it's because you said people should be allowed to come to this country and speak out against it. And you said you're a comedian, and you go to other countries, right? And you said you go to the UK. And I said, okay, if you go to the UK,
Do you think he'd
speak
watch
out.
it?
Oh yeah, I would go to his show.
violation of their laws and see what happens.
AJW.
And you said, I'm confused, I don't
If he was a
understand. What don't you understand?
Yes.
All the criticism I had for Tim for not bringing up the fact that deportation is not technically classified as a punishment under United States law, according to multiple different Supreme Court precedents, that goes away with him asking that specific question. Do you truly believe that anybody out there in the audience really believes that you're confused right now, Adam? That you don't understand the connection and what he's actually representing? Do you actually think that you playing dumb is actually going to make people out there in the audience be dumb? Do you think that them going, what is going to make people out there think that Adam is actually the intellectual in this conversation? Absolutely not. Ridiculous and absurd. And again, couldn't be a better call out in this moment.
Will you go to Turkey? Will you go to Turkey and speak out against Islam?
I mean, if I have a joke to make sure, I don't have a joke about those particular topics.
You would.
I would.
You're saying if you had a joke about?
Oh yeah, sure. I would try to do the best I can. I always try to poke the bear as much as I can. It's part of the job of a comedian. Because
as it pertains to one of the world's largest religions. I mean, come on.
I mean, I haven't written a joke about that recently.
So again, Tim keeps pressing the issue right here, and Adam has a ridiculous notion where he's like, oh, I would definitely do that in the nation of Turkey. I would definitely do that in the United Kingdom. If only it were possible for me, Adam Conover, big brain comedian, in order to think of a joke related to that. But since you're asking me and I'm so confused, I'm just going to say, what, Tim? What?
All right.
So look, hey man, I'm a free speech guy, right?
And Adam, again, tries to pivot off of that, but
Yeah,
Tim
right.
keeps hitting him on it. And to be clear, Adam Conover is not a free speech guy. He does not respect that American value. He does not expect that American value to be upheld in the Western world in the way that I do, because I like our First Amendment. I appreciate our First Amendment.
He's this free speech guy until it's about UK and Muslims. Well, now we can't actually like free speech. What? I don't even know. He didn't even know what that means when he's in the UK. Like what?
I think it should be common law across the Western world, because the Western world has higher standards than a bunch of these other third world countries. But Adam ain't about that life. Adam is all about safe, edgy comedy. Adam is all about just, I'm going to make fun of Christians for the 800 millionth time. I'm going to do a joke like that. But I can't possibly, in my imagination, even think of the possibility of me thinking of a joke related to Islam. That's just not possible for me to do. I try to poke the bear
it's impossible.
wherever I go around the world, but I don't actually talk as a comedian about sensitive topics that would be poking the bear.
It's like the laws of physics. It's like gravity. Like you just
Where's
can't.
What?
what?
in the United Kingdom, because I'm an absolute coward. And to be clear, I don't even know if Adam Conover would be prosecuted in the United Kingdom for telling an Islam joke. But what I do know is that he would be persecuted by the very mob that he's trying to please. And that's the real reason why he wouldn't make that, because he's afraid of cancellation. Again, this guy is an absolute coward. He won't even get to the level where he would face down authoritarian laws from a government that would persecute him for his freedom of speech. In reality, he's afraid of the social media mob, because those are the people that he panders to in order to make his living.
Donald Trump dumped food into a fish pond after Shinzo Abe did. Why are you trying to make that a negative story?
Know what that
it was like
talking about there.
it's all of these hoaxes. The very fine people hoax.
I mean, I remember the line. Yeah,
Trump never called Nazis fine people.
He said there were very fine people on both sides,
except the neo-Nazis and white
Oh
nationalists.
yeah, that was another little manipulative little nonsense that O'Connor guy did. Where listen to this one more time.
Trump never called Nazis fine people.
He said
the very fine people hoax.
I mean, I remember the line. Yeah,
yeah. See, he literally said verbatim. He remembers the line, and then later on in this comment, he's gonna act like, "Oh, I have no idea that Trump even said this." But you literally said that you know this.
Never called Nazis fine people.
He said there were very fine people on both sides,
except the neo-Nazis and white nationalists, who should be condemned totally.
He said that.
Holy shit. Brother,
I don't live in your bubble, man.
You don't live in the fucking news, dude. Come the fuck on. You don't read the fucking news. This is what fucking blows my mind.
No, I just don't have your. I don't have your.
No, Trump did not call neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people, bro. It's been almost 10 years, and you still think he did.
This is my other favorite
That's
part of the conversation.
wild. That
where
is
Tim Pool
actually
starts running
so
down a list
wild.
of very obvious Trump hoaxes, where the media ended up painting the evil orange man as a bad person, including the Shinzo Abe koi fish thing, where Trump is seen on video throwing a bunch of fish food into the pond, and people said that that was disrespectful, even though they were slowly feeding the fish in the video prior to that. And then Shinzo Abe ended up doing that, instructing Trump to do it, and then they walked on in order to do whatever they were going to do in terms of a meeting, because their photo op of them feeding the koi fish was over. But of course, that leads into the very fine people hoax. And of course, Adam Conover is a purveyor of that hoax. He says right there, oh, he definitely said that. I remember him saying that. And then Tim says, except for the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists, they should be condemned totally. And Adam's like, he said that? I don't know about that, is the implication through his tone. But let us be clear, and Tim, by the way, should have played the video for him. Trump definitely 100% did in fact condemn the neo-Nazis and white supremacists and said they should should be condemned totally.
You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
Now, this is one of the biggest media hoaxes that there were out there at the time. Joe Biden launched his presidential campaign based on it, as Tim Pool points out.
I didn't say I think he did. I just don't know what you're talking about because I don't listen to your.
It's not about listening to my bro. It's reading the news. It's fact checking, bro. I got Snopes for you. They're not a conservative publication. Even Snopes was like, guys,
I don't know why you're shouting at me. I was just asking you to explain.
And Adam Conover, not 2 minutes before he pretends like he has no idea why Tim is getting angry at him over this, was just pushing that hoax.
Flashback. I mean, I remember the line. Yeah, they're
never called Nazis fine people.
He said there were very fine people on both sides.
A few moments later.
I didn't say I think he did. I just don't know what you're talking about.
And again, this is the guy whose entire shtick for
yes. Thank you. I was not really paying too much attention because, like, you know, the little tiny screen at the top. But yeah, yes, thank you. I mean, he literally just played both those clips. Like, first he says he knows. And then when Tim calls him out on it, he says, oh, actually, I didn't know. But you did know. You did see it. But you remembered the lie, but you didn't actually remember the whole truth.
Years was that he would look into myths widely believed to be true and give you facts and evidence in order to refute that. But for whatever reason, Adam Conover, completely incapable of addressing the substance of this argument, completely incapable of looking into the information for himself. And then, like a coward, like a weasel, like he did previously when he was like, what? In this particular case, he feigns confusion, saying he doesn't know why Tim is pressing him on this issue, even though Adam was putting forward this version of events.
So when you guys were being paid by the Russian government, you didn't know.
We never got paid by the Russian government.
But the Russian government paid Tenet Media and they paid you.
They didn't.
They didn't pay you. I wanted to
never
know.
got paid by the Russian government.
Oh, but
the case, as far as I know, has been dropped.
But I thought that you were making statements like, "Oh, we were the victims of
Should this prove to be true, we were defrauded and victimized." But I guess the challenge is right now, the Trump administration has no priority in going over a story they don't give a shit about. But the Biden admin dropped it.
Oh, okay, yeah. They didn't go forward on the prosecution.
So I don't know exactly. What I can say. And this is what the challenge is that my understanding is during the Biden administration, they dropped it.
Now, of course, this is the coup de grace for Adam Conover right here, where he talks about Tim Pool being paid for by the Russians. Russian puppet, paid for by the Russians. Remember that indictment where you took money from the Russians? You're such a bad guy. And this is what I really wanted to talk about, the fact that you're a puppet of the Russians. When in reality, again, if Adam Conover actually bothered to be remotely informed about this particular case, he would...
That's the crazy thing. The Biden, the DOJ underneath Biden indicted that company that was associated with Tim Pool because of the Russian thing. And then the Biden administration just drops it as if there was nothing there. It's not like Trump came in and completely destroyed the case. The Biden administration was like, you know what? There's probably nothing here. And then dropped it. But everyone still goes with this conspiracy theory about how Tim Pool is like a Russian taking money from the Russians because there was a case against them. But no one knows about the whole dropping of the whole case from the exact same administration. But I guess that's just facts that people don't want to talk about. And it's so garbage. It's just so garbage.
No, is not true. It's weaselly for him to put it this way because the worst case scenario that was alleged by the Department of Justice in the indictment of the two Russians that were giving money to Tenet Media was that Lauren Chen and Liam Donovan knowingly took money from the Russians, and essentially they lured in these other content creators into taking money by making them think that it was from some investment billionaire who is actually located in France. Again, that was the worst reading of the Department of Justice indictment, but as I went over in a video, in reality, there wasn't even enough evidence to support that Lauren Chen and Liam Donovan, her husband, were actually aware that they were being paid by the Russian government, and it was likely, or at least plausible, that they were actually scammed by these same Russians as well, because essentially, as a condition for getting this money, this investment into a new media empire, they were going to have to work with a firm that had two Russians at the helm that would do all the...
It's a case of guilty until you are on the left.
Yeah. Not guilty until proven innocent. Guilty until you're on the left. Yep. True.
Between said billionaire investor
and that's why I hate that's why I despise when Destiny ever brings the whole conspiracy theory, because like I know Destiny's smart enough to like look into things and actually do research and stuff, but when it comes to the Tim Pool stuff, like I bet Destiny doesn't even know that the case was even dropped by the Biden administration, which was started with from the Biden administration. I bet he doesn't even know that. but yet Destiny's this smart guy that knows everything, and he's fair. Well, no, he's not fair on. I mean, he's rational. He likes to think rationally, and he does really good at debates. But like, he still believes the whole Tim Pool conspiracy theory nonsense about him taking money from the Russians or whatever when the case was dropped. So that's just an allegation that ended up becoming nothing. It dissolved into nothing. But Destiny still believes in that, and I'm like, okay, all right.
Where's Neri?
Warren and Liam.
Disingenuous Trey.
Yeah.
And again,
Where's
you
Neri?
might say, oh, well,
T.
that's still bad because you're working with Russian people, but this does not necessarily imply that they're working with the Russian government. And by the way, I actually
Where's
got a
Neri?
text message from
Oh,
somebody
so
who
close.
works at Tenet
Yeah.
or used to work at Tenet, indicating that the Department of Justice has completely dropped the investigation into Lauren and Liam at this moment in time. However, that is not confirmed by multiple independent sources yet, so we will wait and see on that.
Oh, okay. All right. So it hasn't been confirmed by multiple sources,
Where's
but
Neri?
that's the speculation.
Disingenuous T.
Yeah, disingenuous T. Yeah, I know what you're
Where's
trying
Neri?
to do.
I'm going for it.
The reason I want to come, I was just curious to see your operation here. You know, you're like
The money that we were paid by 10 is completely negligible, and this is what a lot of people don't realize. I don't know how much you were getting paid for your shows. I mean, your shows were pretty big.
yeah, that was in the days that cable still existed. You know, before it was all destroyed by.
But I mean, we do ad read sometimes for 50 grand.
Yeah.
So when the story came out, the insinuation was that like, oh, holy shit, Tim Pool's getting $100,000 to license a show.
Well, that was literally printed in the press that it was $100,000.
The indictment said it, and but I have no problem saying like, yeah, that we got a license for 100K. It was a market rate negotiated by lawyers. That's why Dave Rubin and several others in it negotiated the exact same rates, independent of us. You have to take a look at like, for instance, this show is on average 7th biggest live stream in the country. So, like, what do you think you're going to sell an ad for on the 7th biggest live show in the country that pulls in hundreds of thousands, between, on a low day, 200, but maybe upwards of 500K for one episode? Well, with a 2-hour show, you could probably get in 4 or 5 ad reads at 10K each. So you're looking at, for one show, selling ads upwards of $50,000. And if we do premium buys, like Adam Conover is a big get, a clothing company wants to sponsor it because they know people are going to want to watch.
Oh, yeah.
We go to them and say, if you want an ad read, it's 50.
Yeah.
So singular episodes could actually run as high as 250.
That's 100, but every episode of your show being worth 100K, like how is an episode, how is a 2-hour podcast of people talking worth 100K license fee? How are they going?
Did he just say every show is worth 100K? That is not what happened. He obviously has no idea what he's talking about. He just heard the 100K and Tim Pool getting 100K and Russians funding it. And now he's just, that's all. That's where the analysis starts and stops. So he's just making stuff up at this point. Like they're combined in some way. So I'm just going to say it like this.
Going to make more than 100K on it on the other end. It sounds like a crazy number.
Now, again, it was never alleged that any of the creators were knowingly taking money for the Russian government or that they were actually
Okay. All right.
directed by the Russian government in order to say certain talking points, which, by the way, is not how these influence operations work. It's like working for Al Jazeera or working for Russia Today when that was a thing in the United States of America. These people hire those that already align with them rather than pay people to change their minds. That being said, of course, none of this has been proven out. And again, for Adam to be so disingenuous and to say, oh, well, that's a lot of money, that's a ton of money, when he used to be at College Humor is absurd in every possible way. The way that these new media startups always work is you have a big person or a group of investors that are front loading money. They end up onboarding a bunch of talent. Sometimes they overpay for that talent if you're looking at it in the most superficial way. And that is their mechanism to draw in audience in order to get subscribers under the theory that they will be profitable later. This is how the Daily Wire started. This is how Vox, this is how Vice worked. This is how a bunch of different companies worked, including College Humor, which of course received huge amounts, way more by the way, in venture capital investment in order to jumpstart what they hoped in the future would be a profitable enterprise. Now, Adam knows this from being in a similar position that Tim Pool was in at the time. Adam understands this because he's made a ton of money off of content that probably wasn't all that profitable for the investors. Adam understands that this is how BuzzFeed worked and all these different various companies. But again, he's feigning stupidity. He's feigning ignorance. He's on the cusp of going, what? Because he's so confused about this, even though in reality, he is not confused at all. He understands what's going on. And by the way,
did you try to time it with the delay? Because you were close. He almost said it.
Bunch of different people pretend that they don't understand this business model, even though we look at companies every day, like The Blaze, like Daily Wire, like BuzzFeed, like Vice, like Fox, all these different various companies that got way more investment capital in them in the beginning in the first place, College Humor as well, and we pretend like that is just nowhere near the realm of possibility for a much smaller amount and paying this rate for certain creators.
So they were just re-airing it on YouTube and Rumble, and it was going to be worth $100K an episode to them.
It already was generating.
Some Russian guys show up and they're like, "We will give you $100K," and you're like, this is legit.
Russia was never involved. So a conservative personality who's been in the space for a decade, who worked for the Blaze Media, said, "I've got funding for a startup. We want to license one of your shows." I licensed to Discovery.
Like, this dude literally thinks that some Russian guy came up to Tim and was like, "Yo, we're gonna give you some money, but don't think like we're not from Russia, 100%." Like this, it's just okay. All right.
Should
Look, I take tons of dumb money. I've done dumb money gigs before. I'm like, I don't know why people are giving me this much money for this, but all right, if you want to do it.
And by the way, what makes this even funnier is that the conversations that Lauren Chen ended up having with these people that were representing this alleged billionaire who turned out not to exist were about how these people would not be short-term profitable, and Lauren was actually advising against onboarding them, which is kind of hilarious because if this was a Russian influence operation with Lauren Chen churning against the United States of America, wouldn't you expect her to understand that this was not actually about profitability? But again, it doesn't appear that they were actually involved in scamming people. That they got scammed as well is far more likely. And again, it is not unusual, especially in these digital media startups, especially in conservative media, for billionaires to be the people that are behind this. And I think the Gregorian guy might have had a fake net worth of around hundreds of millions of dollars, but regardless, it makes no matter. This
Sergi
is
from
obviously
Rocky and
what
Bullwinkle
ends up
came up
happening
to
a
Tim
lot
with
of
a
the
bag of dirty cash.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Time in digital media, and nobody should be surprised by that. But everybody wants to pretend, because this one had the Russian angle, this one had the questionable funding angle, that this is somehow unusual or atypical. Nobody, by the way, talks about the infestation of Qatari money in left-wing media and all these different media platforms, how they end up putting all this money into these startups, because that would be Islamophobic or something of the sort. And by the way, that's much more money in terms of economies of scale. But if you bring that up, that all these different lefty creators that came up through Al Jazeera, through AJ Plus, are in reality puppets of the Qatari government, that would be immoral. How dare you say that? This is only applicable when it's this small amount of money, and of course, it's Russia. And by the way, it's a big amount of money to average, everyday, ordinary people, but make no mistake about it, in terms of investments for media startups, it's a small amount of money comparatively to what we've seen before. Now, I know many of you might be thinking, what? You're so confused, but in reality, you're not confused. Adam isn't confused. I explained this absolutely perfectly, and now I leave the question up to all of you out there in the audience. What do you think about this conversation? Full thing will be linked in the description of this video for you to check it out for yourself, but I want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Adam Conover playing stupid throughout the whole course of this interview. Till next time.
All right. I am literally playing a game in real time, so like we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait a little second because this is not something I can pause. I mean, sorta. Oh wait, yeah, the majority report. Okay, all right. So we just saw some confirmation bias. Now let's see what the opposition thinks. In how
Tim Pool. Yay, cheers. Smiley face.
I was about to end the stream, but once I saw this 24-minute video, let's see, what does Sam Cedar have to say that loves Tim Pool so much? And I say that obviously not sarcastically. Has to say about the whole thing that was going on. Let me just make sure I don't die.
Fresh off of his humiliation on that trigonometry show, and I don't mean just by showing up there, I mean just in general, like he was very adamant about Abraham Lincoln being a dictator.
All right, so the majority report, they don't like Tim Pool, but they love to cover him because they get a lot of money.
The eyebrows. The eyebrows.
Yeah,
I think because he suspended habeas corpus in I think it was a state, at least a state, maybe two states,
Maryland,
because they were afraid of supply lines, I think, being bombed at that time, and like there was a real emergency. Now I don't know.
It wasn't students writing about how their university should divest from Israel. It's can we get freight from New York State to Washington D.C. versus.
You guys are just living in 3 dimensions. You know, you don't understand.
Oh yeah, I forgot the academics that said we're in 7th dimensional warfare.
But here is Adam Conover from Adam Ruins Everything on Tim Pool in.
Let me guess. They're gonna say Adam destroyed Tim Pool, but I want to know like how he destroyed Tim Pool. That's why I'm watching this. I want to see what's the mental gymnastics that they do to justify that that comment.
The Tim Pool IRL or Culture War podcast, I guess it is.
Yeah, this is talking about Rumesa Osterk.
I think that's a new idea.
Oh, here we go.
My apologies.
And they're talking about that again. The woman from Turkey who's on a student visa in this country and had written in between her studies at Tufts University, written an op-ed in the student newspaper.
Co-written one.
Oh, co-written. Well, there you go.
For a lot of people, that America is that type of country. I think that Donald Trump's purpose is to turn America into that type of country. I think that that's bad. I think it makes the country smaller. I think it makes the country worse. I think it's a violation of most of the values that I grew up with as an American. And that's my view of what's happening in the country. Now, if you want to say, hey, I don't like free speech for foreign nationals who are in the country who express mild opinions about other countries' foreign wars, then that's your prerogative. It's a big difference between us that you don't like free speech in that way.
Can you pause it? I'm sorry. I just have to give him his credit there for taking Tim's 2 planks of like both I'm a free speech absolutist and warrior and I'm against the foreign.
Tim didn't even speak in that clip, but now you're going to talk about Tim when the only person that was speaking is that one dude. But okay, all right. I mean, yeah, get your confirmation bias, whatever.
Wars and wrapping it into such a succinct, like, a criticism of his hypocrisy. If Tim's audience, was a little bit more able to engage in critical thought, they would pick up on that. But credit to Adam.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, to be fair, I am sure there are a few members of Tim's audience
You're right.
who are discerning enough to realize, like, Tim has these bedrock principles. I mean, his whole thing, right, is about being principled. Like, are you a consequentialist or are you a utilitarian? And so, he's got these principles, almost like these religious edicts that he is.
Tim didn't even mention that within the entire debate. Like, what are you guys talking about? I watched the whole thing.
He is read in philosophy and decided to adopt. And so.
All right, give me 2 seconds. I gotta AFK for a little bit.
Where's Neri? Disingenuous at T.
Yeah, give me a second.
Where's Neri? So close.
I'm still here. I'm just being interrupted.
Where's Neri? Disingenuous at T.
Well, seems like I'm gonna have to end the stream. I really wanted to get through this, but I guess certain people are just not allowing me to do that. So yeah, the perks of streaming later than normal. I get interrupted more often. People want me to do stuff. So man, I really wanted to get more of this done, but I guess that just won't happen. But yeah. So thanks for watching, and do what's on screen, and hopefully I don't die. And yeah, because I won't be able to get through 20 minutes. Like people are being annoying. So yeah, thanks for watching.
Where's Neri?
And
no worries. See you when we see you.
Yeah, see you when you see me. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Where's Neri? Take care, okay?